We are live on PM in the PM. Pong and Mav back again for another Thursday. Happy God of War review, or God of Scores, as me and Mav are calling it, day. It's been a big day. It's been a lot of news this week. Not as much as we have been getting over the past couple months, but we still got a lot to talk about. But it is Thursday. It is November the 3rd, 2022 already. We're getting closer to Turkey Day. Mariah Carey has fired up everybody with everyone's favorite Christmas songs. So it is that time of the season. I am glad I'm not working retail anymore. That's all I got to say. I love Christmas music too. And I love
me
Christmas
too.
time, but retail will ruin it for you in a lot of different ways.
But did you know that there's a new Backstreet Boys Christmas album? Kate just found out about. No, I'm serious. Yeah. Kate was telling me last night. Backstreet Boys have a new Christmas album this year. She was really excited about it.
Backstreet's back. All right.
Let's go.
Let's go. No, I'm okay. I'm cool with no Backstreet. All right. So anyway, everybody, I hope everybody who's tuning into us live right now, if you guys are in the chat, you all beautiful, beautiful gamers out there are enjoying yourselves, having a great week. Or if you listen to us on the future through YouTube again, or through one of your favorite audio podcast places, hey, we love you. Thanks for being here and joining myself. And of course, the man of the hour, the myth, the legend, the one who makes all of this happen on the Fun Speculation channel. Well, Kaitlin has more to do with it than anything. But anyways, he is here. He is the face of the channel. The one, the only, Mav. What is going on, brother? How's your week been, man?
Pretty good. I've been busy with work and stuff, but finally was able to get some gaming time in. Shout out to Dark CMF, amazing guy in the community.
Saw that.
Hooked me up. Yeah. It took me out to a Stars game. He had season tickets, so I got to be the +1 there. I got a couple.
Freaking awesome.
Yeah, trade for some beer. You know, I got us the beers and a little bit of food and stuff, and he got me the seat, and we had a blast. And awesome guy. So it was absolutely amazing getting to meet him in person. Yeah, and he's if you know Dark CMF in the community, he's always being generous and putting out codes and stuff like that, and some of the chats and stuff. But he's as genuine and real person in real life as he is in the community. So it was absolutely amazing getting to meet him. So besides that, though, been dabbling again in COD, Modern Warfare 2, having a blast. Play a little bit just whenever I have time, just off and on. You know what I mean? And so good, man. It's so good. The issues we had, like the first day or two, like are gone with the crashing and stuff. It's just a super smooth experience now. I do have a little bit of nitpicks with the way the weapon upgrading system goes, because I don't like being forced to use guns I hate in order to get to access to the other guns. You know what I mean? But it is what it is. I feel like you can get used to certain weapons you wouldn't be normally used to using or wanting to use, and you can find strengths in it that way as well. So been playing that, more NBA 2K as always. Still hooked on that. Marvel Snap, so good. So good, dude. And then when I can, I've been playing some Gotham Knights as well. So lots to play, man. No shortage of games right now at all. More on the way. I want to play Star Ocean, but I don't even dare start it. You know what I mean? I feel like I do a disservice to a lot of the games and genres that I love, because it's like just no time, you know. And I don't want to buy something at full price now that I know I'm only going to play for like an hour and not finish. And I'd rather just wait at this point for a lot of these games.
Absolutely.
Especially with the time that we've had. But what about you, dude? How you been?
Been a long week, man. Hardly any gaming whatsoever. This is probably the least amount of gaming I've done any week. I have not jumped into Call of Duty. I've been grabbing the dailies on NBA 2K. I think I did a couple of domination matches and some whatchamacallit, your favorite one too. Can't think right now. Anyways, did a little bit of that. Otherwise, Marvel Snap for me as well.
Yeah, crazy, right? What's happened to us, Pong Soul?
It's quick. Hey, you know what? I used to game on phones back in the day. There was a couple games, Star Wars, and then there was another one. I can never remember. There was this other freaking collecting game that I used to play too back in the day, and Hearthstone. So I have dabbled in the mobile side of things. It's just not my preferred.
Did you ever get into Gwent?
A little bit. A little bit of Gwent, but not as much. Not as much.
Did they ever release a mobile version of that?
I don't think so.
They should have. That would have been perfect. Another one that they should have done. You remember the Fable pub games?
Yes, the Fable pub games. I still have it.
Freaking amazing, dude.
They're so much fun.
So many hours into Fable pub games on that little free arcade game.
Yes, it was freaking amazing. Plus, you earned the coins for fucking Fable. It was amazing, bro. Remember they had the. Remember there was the cheat that you could do to build up your money too. Yeah.
Oh,
I had so much gold going into Fable. It was not even funny. But that was fantastic. So every once in a while there are mobile games that come along though that I will actually dabble in. You know, I've thought about getting into Genshin Impact, but I'm just like, I don't really want to do that. Plus it's not Razer Kishi supported yet. So I haven't done that. But Marvel Snap, again, as far as a easy, very accessible card game, but very hard to master card game goes, this is probably one of the best I have ever played, console, mobile, or otherwise. I really think that they've nailed like the ultimate balance, plus the fact that the matches are so damn quick, Mav. You literally, depending on how long you spend in the bathroom at work or at home, you literally can get 3, 4, 5 matches in easy. Like, it is that fast and it's that fun.
Yeah.
And now that I'm starting to build up my deck and I've got a favorite deck now, I've built an on-reveal deck with Odin as my lead card. Like now you get down to the nitty-gritty with people. But pulling out a win right at the end on the 6th round, remember there's only 6 rounds. There's 3 spots that you can play on. Pulling out a win, I did today, earlier today as well. This dude had me. Like he was snapping me, I was snapping back, and all of a sudden got to the 6th round. I was like, oh, I'm in trouble. But then, again, now that I've been playing for a while, saw the move I had to make and pulled out the wind on that last round. I know he was pissed. And that just is awesome. But anybody could pick this game up. Anybody. And start playing. And again, you don't have to spend money. I haven't even bought the season pass yet. Eventually, I will buy the season pass just because I'm enjoying it. And again, when I get a free-to-play game, if the devs have done something really good and I'm having a good time with it, I'm going to reward those devs. I'm going to buy a season pass or something like that. I will buy the season pass on this one. It's only $10 eventually here, but just a great game. So that's been my week. I know you guys were inviting me last night. I was like, I can't. I got to go to bed. And I know you guys were playing some Modern Warfare 2. I got to get back into that. I am what I am. Never going to be a sweaty. Never going to be a ranked player. Never going to be a Jasper or Steel. But taking a week off of Modern Warfare 2 right now is probably not the best idea. I'm going to fall behind big time as far as skill goes. Those erode fast. But like you said, Mav, tons to play. We've got, this month is huge. December is already being built up to be big. There's a lot of stuff because I think, I'm about ready. I'm going to pre-order Midnight Suns, the Ultimate Edition here for December 2nd. We've got Evil West at the end of the month. I really want it bad. I looked at both of them and I'm like, I need that ultimate package for Midnight Suns, so I'm going to pick up that. But hopefully I can find a way to pick up Evil West too. But tons to play, Mav. A lot going down this week as well, just as far as news goes. And obviously today being God of War review day, which we've been waiting on. But first of all, let me give some shout outs to the chat. We had a couple super chats drop on in here. First of all, super chat from Alvin for $10. Thank you, brother, for being here. Appreciate you. My vacation time next week is in. Ragnarok already paid for and read the reviews. Cannot wait. Impressive, but I see nothing that's dethroning Elden Ring for Game of the Year, in my opinion. PM time, let's go. Pong and Mav time, let's go. That's right, Alvin. And gotta agree with you. Although I think because of who votes in the Game of the Year awards, and because we know that there is some bias in there, human nature says there is. And it's always a what have you done for me lately? And because Elden Ring came out so long ago, and yes, it was the biggest phenomenon we've seen in a long time in gaming. that shine starts to dull at this point. And I think that God of War is the brand new shiny toy. Mav, do you agree or disagree?
I think that, oh man, it's interesting conversation because I think that God of War is the only challenger, right? And I think that's
there's a
what
bunch in there, but
yeah, I think that's
one.
really what it is as far as a serious contender, right? And I feel like it's put there. Elden Ring has dominated this year so much. You know what I mean? Like in terms of the mind share from the critics. I think it also still reviewed higher, if I'm right, than Ragnarok.
By a point, I think.
Yeah, so, like slightly.
Point or 2 points. I don't know where God of War is right now.
You know, it also introduced and kind of found a way to push a niche genre into the mainstream, right? So it had a bigger impact on gaming than a sequel to something that people are already used to. For those reasons, I feel like Elden Ring is still going to take it. I do get where you're coming from too, that there's a chance because of like recency bias, also a little bit of PlayStation bias with critics and stuff like that. But I feel like that also pulls some sway with Elden Ring as well because you know the Souls genre has been a little bit synonymous with PlayStation over the last several years. Even though Dark Souls has come to Xbox, you've had more titles, you know, more as a core like place where people look for those kind of games on PlayStation. And I feel like this game, Elden Ring, kind of transcended that and above and beyond. And I feel like Elden Ring is still gonna take it. Also, when I look at it and you talk about biases and stuff, you know, the Game Awards has been heavily attached to Elden Ring with marketing ever since their initial reveal, and then also a couple other trailers. I think at least one other big trailer, and maybe even the release date reveal could have been at the Game Awards. I don't remember exactly. I just remember seeing it multiple times at the Game Awards, right? So it was be kind of like a stamp of like, hey, look, we've had the Game of the Year. We announced the Game of the Year at the Game Awards and all this kind of stuff originally, you know. I'll ultimately it's up to the critics and all of their votes. So it's interesting to see how that's going to come to play, and it's too tough to predict, man. But if you were to ask me right now, I'll still say Elden Ring takes it.
Yeah, Elden Ring. How do I want to compare this in movies? Like it's really strange. Like God of War is your big budget, not just action flick, because it's got great story to it and it's got the big scenes, it's got the big set pieces to it, it's got all that stuff, right? Whereas Elden Ring is kind of that indie movie that came out of nowhere, that's deep and mysterious, doesn't have necessarily like the in your face story that God of War obviously does. It still has story. I'm not one of those people that says, God, you know, obviously the Elden Ring doesn't have a story. Of course it has a story. It's just told in a completely different way without much narrative, but there's a story there to be found. So I think that's what you've got here. And again, I think that from my standpoint, Elden Ring ekes it out at the end, but I think it is close with God of War, and I do see a way that God of War does take it, but I think Elden Ring, just because of the phenomenon it was, because it was so big, because it was multi-plat, it was everywhere, everybody got to play it. There's still people to this day rocking out on Elden Ring these months later. I think that Elden Ring does eke it out. And you brought up some great points as too, Mav, that Souls genre kind of being attached to Sony, but that's shown everybody likes when a niche kind of takes off. We saw
Has
it
the
with
Souls game
roguelites.
ever won Game of the Year? Did Bloodborne or anything like that ever win?
No. But we saw this with roguelites, right? With Hades.
Yeah.
Hades won a bunch of awards, right? Roguelites were niche. Like there was people who honestly said, I'm never going to play a roguelite. Like that happened until Hades dropped. That's what I'm saying. So I think that this one does eke it out. It's just that obviously I'm not going to know because I'm not going to be able to play God of War. So I'm going to be going by what everybody else says, by what I'm watching on videos. It obviously is something special. God of War is special. We're going to talk about that. So great question to start the show. Alvin, appreciate the $10 super chat.
Alvin says Sekiro won Game of the Year. So
Sekiro win the game of the year?
it might. Yeah, maybe. I don't. He says it did, so maybe it did.
Okay, well then I trust you. I trust you, Alvin. So we'll roll with it. If Sekiro won, then yeah. So there you go. All right, and we got a $5 John TJ super chat before I forget this one. Okay, man, we got another question. So we're starting off with questions. We like this. This is good. This is good because Mav and I
John
are winging
TJ
it.
actually had another question too in a membership message as well.
Okay, awesome. If you can grab that one too, then I see it now. I see that one. Okay. Well, this goes together with what his questions were. So, John TJ, member for 3 months, first said, "Hi guys, what publisher do you think Xbox gets next?" Appreciate that, John TJ. And then he followed up with a $5 super chat. Said, "Out of these 4, what one would you like Xbox to get next? Sega, EA." I almost said Electronic Arts. My God, I'm aging myself. Square Enix or WB. All right, man. Well, I mean, I think we're both in. Okay, there's some caveats
I'm a little
here.
torn here between two of them, to be honest with you.
Yeah, so am I. But there's some caveats here too, because we know WB Discovery right now, as it sits today, is almost 90% sold to Universal, and it's going to happen in 2024. So they're technically off the books until Universal gets them, and I don't think Universal, Comcast, NBC, whatever you want to say, is going to sell them. I think they're jumping back.
They can't have anything in writing yet, right? But technically,
no, technically they can't.
Yeah, so
technically it's against the contract.
So if the chance with WB would be if this rumor that seems to be really true, if the ABK deal gets done in time, that Microsoft's able to swoop in and make an offer that they can't refuse. You know what I mean?
Or if ABK falls through, they could pivot directly to WB Discovery and offer something more,
which would make a lot of sense for IP reasons.
All right, since you're torn between two, I'll go first. I'll be the brave one here. All right, all things considered equal, if all these chances were equal across the board, okay, number one for me is WB Discovery. It's got to be the whole kit and caboodle, not just the game studios. It's got to be all of it. I want all of it because I want Microsoft to jump into the entertainment business as a whole. I want them now to compete with Sony on the movie level. Okay. I want them to get into that business because I think it will help everything that they're trying to do overall. Okay. So that's number one for me. That's the one that I want. And then from there, I would say, oh boy, EA and Sega, huh? EA. Oh, God, that's a lot of talent and a lot of teams over there and a lot of IP. My heart says Sega, but from a business standpoint, if EA was available and you knew you could pass it through regulation with no problems, it's EA. Their IP is too valuable. There is so much IP there. Microsoft would then control Mass Effect. They would then control Dragon Age. They would then control, obviously, Madden. They would then control, well, they wouldn't control FIFA because they don't have a deal with FIFA, but they would have soccer.
Need for Speed.
They would Need for Speed. You're talking about all the dormant IP that EA has, which is a lot.
And they also signed it recently, like deals with Marvel and
Star Wars. Yes. So, and you get Zampella, you get Respawn, which is incredible. You could bring back Titanfall. Like, you get Battlefield. Like, okay, so
could you imagine they got Zampella and then also, if let's say they owned EA and Activision and they just put Zampella back on Call of Duty?
Yeah, right. And then they own both COD and Battlefield.
Right.
What?
Yeah. That's too much, probably. I don't know, man.
That's too much responsibility for one company. All right. I would say EA, though, then Sega, then Square Enix, of course. So go ahead, Matt. You give your rundown.
All right. Number one want out of this, WB Discovery. Now, but he asked in his message, membership message, he asked, what publisher do we think they get next? And then the other question is, what one would we like for them?
Those are all publishers, but if you're going to split these two up, that's fine.
But one of them was like, which one do we think they're going to do, and which one do we want them to do? So
okay, all right,
so there's two, the little intricacy in the difference.
Okay, all right. So I want them to get WB Discovery, all things freaking being equal. I think that Sega is the next publisher.
Okay. All right. So what do I want? I want WB Discovery, right? I want that DC license, all that stuff. I want the coalition to teach them how to run Unreal Engine 4 games at 60 frames per second. I want all of that. I NetherRealm come along for the ride. You get Mortal Kombat. You have. I think WB Discovery fills a lot of needs and like holes in the lineups for Xbox for first party. It gives you that direct answer to the Spider-Man going on over there with PlayStation, and also you allow yourself, if you do that, to enter into the other aspect with the entertainment industry as well, with the movies and TV shows. And they got the capability, because especially when they're looking at going across all these different devices and everything like that, adding more value in those senses makes a lot of damn sense to me.
Can you imagine a Game Pass Ultimate Plus fucking package with HBO
Max and everything? Yeah.
That'd be so
Discovery
incredible.
Plus, HBO Max, you get like all the DC movies. And
yes,
imagine Halo on the big screen at that point, made by like some of the WB teams and stuff like that too. There's so many different aspects to it that would just be really kick ass and really fun to witness if that happens. However, like you said, the Universal deal is probably going to happen, so that may be off the table. So that's number one want. Number two want, and also what I think would be more likely would be Sega. Now, it's still a long shot. When I say more likely, any of these publishers, especially in Japan, are always a long shot, I think. But we do know they're targeting one. And the simple reason I say Sega is just because they're close relationship. I feel like Xbox would be really willing to break the bank for Sega to establish themselves as that Xbox branch over there in the East. And but you know what? It's like, who knows what's gonna happen, man? Like once this ABK deal's done, like maybe they start look for the smaller publishers, and who knows? There's so much up in the air. We all do agree on one thing, and I think the chat agrees on a lot of this too, is that they're not done. Right? There's some more stuff that's going to happen. And it's not just with Microsoft and Xbox, it's also in the entire industry. But if you got Sega, like I see Def Leppard saying Sega JRPGs. Yeah. Number one request, or two, I have two requests. Like three. Actually, I take it back. I have three requests. Okay, number one, establish Skies of Arcadia. Come back in a big way. JRPG, huge name.
Hertog in here?
Back in the day.
Is Hertog in here? Because he's about freaking out about now. So.
Number two, immediately start development on a Halo franchise or Halo Wars-esque RTS game for consoles using Creative Assembly, Relic, all the combination of the two, or whatever, right?
Use all the Microsoft IP. Make it one massive RTS with all different. Oh God, Gears versus Halo.
And number three, you already know what I'm going to say now is okay. You got Obsidian already in your stable. And you also, if you acquired Sega, you get this little niche IP that they had of this test game that they did back in the day, where Sega published a game with Obsidian, and it was called Alpha Protocol, and it was like the Mass Effect of spy RPGs made by Obsidian, except it didn't really have a big budget, and they also kind of weren't able to do as much as they wanted to with the game. So it came out.
Sega cut them off.
It came out kind of
no more time, no more money.
Half finished, and half of what it could be. And like I feel like that game still had a cult following, and I would love to see the deliver on that promise of what that could be. Obsidian, I think, would love it too, because they even tweeted it. Yeah, they tweeted right. So Sega's not doing anything with the IP. They even delisted it off of Steam because of licensing issues and stuff. So they're not even trying to sell the game anymore, I don't think. So it'd be interesting to see. Those are the three requests, and that's why I would put Sega there as well. The
only thing I'd add was Total War coming to console, right? Bring Total War to console. Bring Total War to console, and make it happen. As an RTS fan, but obviously Shin Megami Tensei from Atlas, you get those ported over to Xbox. I mean, there's so much that could be done with Sega. Again, so I was torn between EA and Sega. It's just EA's got, my God. Can you imagine Microsoft resurrecting BioWare to the glory days, bringing back some of the old timers back to BioWare underneath Xbox.
Oh my
How
gosh.
cool that would be, bro.
The doctors come out of retirement.
Yes,
you know.
yes, come back to help rebuild BioWare.
We're gonna make Mass Effect,
yes,
all over again. Just do it in a big way.
Oh god, it was so cool.
KhAos ThEory hit us with the question too.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, go ahead. Read it.
So it says, "Hey Pong Soul, important question, folks. God of War versus Sonic Frontier. Who's winning this holiday?" He's talking about sales wise. He says, "Answer carefully because Mr. Boomstick XL will hear us. We have a bet going." So shout out to Boom, shout out to KhAos ThEory and everybody over Double Barrel Gaming. Yeah, Sonic Frontiers versus God of War Ragnarok in the sales department. This is what we're talking about, right?
Yes, there's advantages on both sides. As crazy as it sounds, there really is. Sega's got the advantage of being multi-plat, and God of War has got the advantage of already getting masterpiece reviews, which we're going to talk about, and word of mouth, and it being God of War on both PS4 and PS5, so they have the ability to sell big. Benji Sales came out today and said he doesn't think 4 million at launch is now a big number. He thinks it can be done with these scores. So you're talking about somewhere between, I would say, 3 to 5 million in opening day sales of God of War. Does Sonic take it? Now, I'm assuming he says through the holidays, so we're just saying till January. So we're talking about November through all of December, right?
Yeah.
Okay. In terms of straight sales, wait, do we confirm yet? Sonic Frontier 70?
I think it's 60. And also, I have a question. 60? Is it releasing on the Switch?
I thought so. Let's see. I don't remember. Let me look it up real quick.
Chat, is Sonic Frontiers releasing on the Switch?
Hey, put that.
Joanna Dark says yes. Spider-Man says yes.
Okay, so it is listed.
Batman
says
on the Switch. Yes.
Okay,
says yes. So it's universal. Yes, it's coming.
Okay, all right, cool. So put that. Can you put that as a poll in the chat? By the way, yeah. Let's run a poll.
Run a poll. Okay.
Yeah, run a poll if you can. If it's not too much to ask, just run a poll.
More sales.
Straight sales
this holiday.
Straight sales through January 1st. Sonic or God of War. All right, I'm going to say straight sales, not review scores, nothing else. Straight sales, Sonic wins.
Okay.
But it's going to have good scores. If this thing shows up at a 60, it ain't going to sell as much.
Right. That's
but
the catch,
if they get into the high 70s, or hit 80, Sonic Frontiers will take it.
Okay. This is interesting because Sonic, I mean, traditionally, like in a long time, hasn't been like I don't know the sales numbers, but it's usually not like astronomical, right?
No,
like I don't think they're launching and doing 20 mil in sales. You know,
nope.
PlayStation
You got the movies.
PlayStation first party games, the best ones have tended to sold extremely well. Some of the best selling games out there when they really hit, but lately that hasn't happened. You know, I think God of War Ragnarok is going to change that. For this generation. Also, it's a cross-gen game. Any fans of God of War 2018 will probably be looking for this. I don't know what the sales numbers was of 2018. I feel like I need to know that. What Chad, do you know what the
initial
yeah, like the initial sales was for God of War 2018? I almost feel like this could be less than that.
Most of their games have been trending less.
Yeah.
If you look at their history, right? So Horizon trended
less.
Exactly.
Even games that have a lot of hype.
Yep.
You know.
Yep.
Spider-Man, Miles Morales as well. You know.
Right. Correct.
Like you're right though. If like Sonic Frontiers comes out and gets like a 5, it's gonna
sold over 5 million units within the first month. God of War 2018.
Oh, all right. So I'm gonna do this.
It sold 23 million by 2022.
Mm-hmm.
So
okay, so well, that's what we're really looking at is like a little over the first month, right? Because of the Switch. The Switch is the key here, guys. Because of that Switch, And like, I know it's crazy to think of like Sonic on the Switch as like a big factor because it's a Mario device, but I feel like that game would have a huge audience on the Switch, massive audience on the Switch. I'm gonna say Sonic Frontiers takes it. I'm not gonna go as crazy as Boom saying 2-1,
Yeah,
but
no.
because of the Switch, I think it takes it. I think it's gonna outdo it. And you also have Xbox, you also have PC, then you got PlayStation as well, and everything. And I think people have been really waiting for a different take on Sonic, so the curiosity is going to be there. It is $10 cheaper as well, right? So there's that. And then also, I would find it. Here's a little kicker that I don't think a lot of people are thinking about. I find it less likely that God of War Ragnarok is going to have a big sale on it before the holidays are up.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I would bet money that at some point before Christmas, that Sonic Frontiers is going to be like a good discounted sale, or be like part of some kind of bundle or Black Friday deal or something, But then the other side of this is like, do the bundled God of War games count?
Yeah, they count. It's a part of sales.
So how many million consoles will they sell this holiday?
Well, I mean, some of the early numbers they're estimating right now, they have 2 million in reserve right now.
Right.
I've seen 2.5 million in reserve. So if they're able to push out 3 million bundles,
that's the like Sony's hope, right? To get, I think, but I'm gonna roll with Sonic. If it comes out and gets like a 5,
Yeah.
When I'm saying 5, I'm not 5 out of 5. I'm saying 5 out of 10.
5 out of 10.
And it just crushes the hype for it and everything. And then I think it won't.
I think the movies are going to give it a boost with the parents. I think there's going to be a lot of kids that once they see Sonic's coming out are going to want to play it.
The Sonic IP is at another level now because of those movies too.
Correct. It's got a boost there, and I think Game Plato brings up a great 1.2. Sonic is still huge in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to sell well in Japan. It's going to sell a ton in Japan between Switch and everything else. So
absolutely, Boom said 2-1.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's gonna be 2-1, but I would say like somewhere in between, like I would say 50. I would be as confident to say 50% more potentially.
If Sonic sells, let's just assume God of War sells 5 million, like the first one did. You'd say if Sonic hits 10 million by January 1st, my God, Sega's gonna be jumping.
Oh, that'd be insane. But you got to look at it like this. Like, this is the first big mainline Sonic game released in a really long time. The movies have been all over the place. Kids right now are super big fans of that. How many Switches are out there is crazy. This is a cross-gen game as well, coming out. So it is coming out on PlayStation, coming out on PS5, coming out on Xbox One, Xbox Series S, Series X, PC, Switch. It might even, Stadia doesn't allow new games, but it might even come out of Stadia.
Oh yeah.
Just kidding. But I think the overall market for this game is bigger than God of War, right? It just depends on if the game hits.
Yeah, it depends totally. Again, we don't care about reviews.
It doesn't get it
but
can kill
for the
hype.
Masses, it'll kill the hype. Yeah.
So if it gets like a 7 or above, I'm standing behind this.
Yeah. That's where I'm at. Yeah. And if it hits 8, I think it's got a real shot. So, great discussion. Thanks, everybody, for bringing up great questions to start out the show.
Sonic Colors sold 2 million copies. Oh, I'm 100% on Sonic train now. Is Sonic Colors actually? Are you talking about the port to Xbox and stuff? Because that was like, I don't know. I didn't enjoy that at all. The DS port, the Sonic Colors game.
Yeah. Gogo says, is Sonic getting that much traction? Am I missing something? I never thought Sonic was that expected to hit that big. It's gotten more traction as time has gone on. The initial showings were very, very poor. But it's still Sonic. This is an open world Sonic, which not only are Sonic Adventure fans been waiting for to come back. Not that that was completely open world, but it was the closest thing we ever got. But there's a lot of people who are going to be curious about this And now that they've shown it recently, it's given it new life. And I've been hearing a lot of positive buzz from people who have seen it behind the scenes. And from the stuff we're seeing, it's a combination because it got these smaller levels that you jump into that are set up like exactly like old school levels, just much more beautiful and much more well realized. Now you got skill trees with Sonic. Now you've got, you know, these boss battles, which you actually have different attack abilities than you did before. That's why I think Mav and I are saying if this comes out at the 7 range or even creeps into the 8 range score wise, and people really love the change, this is the Sonic that everybody kind of dreamed of back in the day. Sure, the 2D was amazing, but once we got to 3D as being the norm for video games, a lot of us want to see Sonic in the open world. And I think there's going to be a lot of people who pick this up, if it hits right, just out of straight curiosity to play Sonic in this big wide open world. Or worlds, I should say.
I'm more curious than anything, right?
Yes.
Because I want Sonic to be relevant gaming wise, and not just nostalgia wise, right? And I feel like a lot of what still drives Sonic sales on platforms are these like remakes of the old Sonics and all these different ports of like handheld Sonics and all these different things. It's like the same thing over and over again, kind of, you know. And this is fresh, so it could hit. You know, this could really do something if it's good. So. But if it's bad, then who knows?
Yeah. Back to the drawing board for Sega again. Let me give you some shout outs here. Caper Grant, of course, dropping on in here. Great to see you, my friend. Spooky, the breathtaking gamer, is in the house. Great to see you, brother, as always. You already know. Go Poe, great to see you. Def Leopard hanging out with us. Of course, Masshole 1977 dropping on here. The one and only KhAos, as we already said, is in here. Nix, it would not be a chat without you, brother. Thank you for being here. Jay Rembert, always good to see you. Jay says he super chatted. Did you catch that?
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
Got it right there.
I did. Oh, I got it. Hey, Jay, while I'm on you. Hey. Thanks for reminding me. Jay Rembert, super chat for $10. Thank you very much, my friend. WB Discovery or bust. If they don't go after WB, just go after smaller studios instead. Other than WB, in my opinion, they shouldn't go after any more publishers. In the West, I agree with you. Unless it's a smaller publisher, unless it's like something like CD Projekt Red, who is a publisher, but you know isn't gigantic. In the West, I think Phil is content. If they get the ABK deal done, they're going to be content. But in the East, they need a big splash. They really do. Any disagreement, Mav?
No. I mean, I don't really, and unless there was something crazy like Embracer Group or something like that, right? Which I don't see that happening. You know, like I think that Eastwise, I would definitely see. And I think that's where all the rumors have been and where they need to make the biggest move, right? So I could foresee something there, and I think they do need to do something there. So we'll see who it is. I think that's a lot of where the speculation's at right now for who's going to be next. But again, like, if I could choose, it would be WB Discovery.
Yeah, absolutely. No, we're both on board with it, Jay. If all things being equal, WB Discovery would be the way to go. 100%. We've been there forever. Psychonauts, brother, Psychonauts dropping in here. Brother, 3-bit dropping in here as well. Good to see you both. UK Lad is in here. Brother Fuzzy Belvedere is dropping on in here. The whole Fun Speculation family showing up. Talos Ray, great to see you as well. Who else we got here? Let me see where I left off. Back up here a little ways. We've got Jason Max dropping on in here. Thank you, Jason, for being in here with us. Alvin, I already shouted out you with your super chat, but you get another one, brother. Thank you for being here. Appreciate you as always. General Spartan 27 dropping on in here. Sonic is rated E. God of War is rated M. Which one do you think parents, especially ones who do go off of what the rating for a game is, will choose? It's another point of fact. Again, bigger audience potentially because Sonic is family friendly. Absolutely agree with you. Game Plato, great to see you, and thank you for the opinion before. I did appreciate that. Patman Jones Effect in here. Great to see you, Patman. As always, Moneybag 97. What is going on? You see, Byrnes. You said Byrnes? Thank you for dropping in here. Always great to see you. Spider-Man 356. Great to have you joining us tonight. Mr. Joanna Dark, a Nintendo fanboy himself, is up in here, always defending the Switch against me and Mav. Great to see you, brother. Who else we got in here? Let's see. What else we got? Outbreak Podcast. Outbreak Dave. What is going on? Just did an interview with the one, the only, the aforementioned 3-Bit. So if you want to learn more about 3-Bit, and he did one with Psycho. So you want to learn a little bit more about the Fun Speculation family? Go check out Outbreak Dave.
I think he's interviewed almost everybody at this point.
Yeah, I think he has. Me, you, we're all there. So great channel, and you got to go check out Outbreak Dave. Who else we got in here? Am I missing anybody? Did anybody drop down below, Mav, that I missed?
Infinite Umbra is here.
Infinite. What's going on, brother? Good to see you, man.
Dark Zone. I don't know if you
Dark Zone.
Yeah,
nope, I did not get Dark Zone. Great to see you.
Shane. How's it going?
Shane, of course, brother. What's going on, Shane? Vik The CLiCK was in here earlier as well. I'm sure he's hanging out and lurking, either working or drinking. Black Card A, what's going on, Black? Phasma, great to see you, sis. Haven't seen you in a while. I've actually seen you a couple chats, but great to have you back. Hellspawn 666, great to have you in here as well. Who else we got in here? Polly Baba, of course, hanging out with us. Lore Master Jasper, you know he's getting sweaty somewhere with either Snap or Modern Warfare. He was hanging out in here, so he's probably lurking around. Why So Serious was in here earlier, of course. Great to have everybody, all these familiar faces. The beautiful Kaitlin dropped in to say hi after she did all the work on the thumbnail. Thank you, as always. Appreciate that. FarQ was in here. We'll see him change his name at least once during the show, I'm sure. DeathLordStrong, great to have you in here. James X, good day. Good day to you. Appreciate you. RSJ fan, great to see you, my friend. Thank you for all the support, as always. Andrew Cullinane, wouldn't be a chat without you, Andrew. Thanks for being in here. Razor NZ, as always, from New Zealand, dropping on in here as well.
Those awesome people.
Got everybody. Just amazing people. We always do. And hey.
John, did you get John Wolf?
Nope, I did not get John Wolf. What's going on, brother?
Why So Serious as well? Trinity?
Yes, I did get Why So Serious. Okay. But Trinity, great to see you, sister. Thank you for dropping in here. I appreciate you all for dropping on by. Listen, if you got a moment, hit the like button. If you got an extra moment, share us out. Tell everybody that we're out there. Mav and I have been really consistent, but we do got to get the business side because it does help. We got Coreed Ogunremy. Coreed Ogunremy. I hope I didn't butcher it, but appreciate you dropping on in here. Xbox for life. Gaming for life. That's what it's about over here. So, anyways, all right, Mav, let's get down to business again. We're
50 minutes in, and we haven't even really started any of our topics yet. This is awesome.
Our chat created some of our first topics.
Yeah, thanks, chat. Love it.
Yeah, thank you.
You guys rock.
Love you guys. Appreciate that. Every time that we can get the chat involved and they drop some good stuff, man, we're going to talk about that. So appreciate you. Mav, let's talk about, where do we want to go first? Okay, let's get this out of the way. We always like to start out with some of the meh news or the negative news or whatever. So let's do this. Let's start with the PlayStation VR. You kidding me, Mav? Are you kidding me? The PlayStation VR2 seems to have caught a lot of people off guard. Not by the announcement that it was coming out. We already knew all that.
Yeah.
Not by the date next year. We knew that's where it was going to place. But there's been a lot of debate in the community, not just amongst fanboys, but amongst a lot of us about what PlayStation was going to price the VR2 at. Well, they finally made that official announcement. Pre-orders are going live November 15th. So, the headset, again, you don't need a camera. The headset, the controllers, that's all you pretty much need now. One wire, cool, all great. $549.99 in the US. I think in Canada, I think Meg said what, $750, Mav?
Yeah, $750. And in fact, like that with 2 games is going to cost like $1,000.
$1,000. Yeah, something crazy. You can get a bundle with the new Horizon VR game included for $599. So they're cutting you a little break there, only charging you $50 for the new Horizon game. If you want the charging port, that'll run you an extra $50 too. So,
oh, are you serious?
Yes.
Like it doesn't come with like a dock. So
The dock.
So
the dock is extra.
But the cord, it comes with the cord.
Yeah. You can plug it in and charge it. But if you want
okay,
the pretty
right.
dock, it's an accessory.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you can't charge it unless you pay an extra.
I was like, wait.
Wow, Jim really got up
useless headset unless you can.
But there was a lot of people caught off guard by this price. I was in the camp. I was in the $499 camp, solid, but I said somewhere between $500 and $600.
Yeah.
Obviously, again, I'm excluding fanboys on both sides out of this conversation, just talking about the general pop, the good parts of the community here who talk reasonably. It was all over the place, man. I had legit tech guys in this community, people that we know very well, trying to convince the rest of us that it was going to be $349, it's going to be $399. I was like, really? Because again, not a tech guy, not a VR guy. I will always make that statement up front because I think it's important that everybody knows who's talking about this stuff, where they're coming from. I'm not a VR guy, not until I'm in the Matrix, not until I get the holodeck from Star Trek, something like that. I'm not ready for VR. I just don't like it. Okay. That might change down the road. Again, I appreciate VR. I've said before, I appreciate Sony and all the companies pushing VR forward. I think it's important. That's how things eventually get to a point where they become something that everybody likes. But anyways, we had a bunch of tech guys trying to convince me and others that there was going to be $349, $399. And I was looking at the tech, and I kept hearing them say, well, this is like top of the line quality here. Like Sony's going all out. And I'm like, and you think that Jim Ryan and the boys over at PlayStation are going to cut you a deal on this? They just raised their console prices. They just raised their games by $10. You think all of a sudden VR, they're going to do something
different? They just found it unbelievable that it would be the same price or more expensive than the console.
Correct.
Regardless of anything.
Regardless of anything. But if you do the math, the old PlayStation, the first PlayStation VR, once you bought the controllers, because you had to buy the moves, and you had to buy the camera, once you included all that, this is the exact same price that the old one was, translated with inflation to nowadays money, right? So it's the same price point. Now, again, I'm not sitting here blown away. I started hearing the $399 price point when Sony came out and said, hey, we're shipping 2 million of these by March of next year. I was like, okay, they're obviously expecting some big sales. Maybe they are going to take a loss up front. I started second guessing myself, but I never went back on it. But Mav, for you, when you first heard the price point, let's just consider the price, because that's what blew up everywhere. There were shocked people across the world. Of course, fanboys both sides using it as war bait. We had the people defending it. We had the other people saying, "Are you kidding me, Jim Ryan? What are you doing? Like, you're already niche. This is already a niche genre. Now you're just making it even more niche by asking this, especially in 2022, 2023, with inflation and everything else going on." What do you think, brother?
I am not surprised at all, and I wish I was, because I wish if I was surprised, it would have been that it was cheaper. Now, personally, though, I don't really care. It's not for me either way, right? I wasn't gonna buy it day one at $399, $299, $499, $599. It's about what we expected. We talked about it a couple times. $500 to $600 is kind of what our expectation was. It hit right in the middle of that. I do think that it's not necessarily going to do as well as they hope or grow as big as they hope, mainly because, we talked about this numerous times. I feel like VR it's definitely it has a nice big audience. There's a lot of enthusiasts out there, and but it still doesn't have that mass appeal yet. And when you have to own a $500 device and then buy another device on top of that, that's limiting your audience, right? I feel like the last PSVR did a few million or something. They had 30 million consoles out there, right? So this is only gonna have how many million, right? Consoles out there. Can you use this on a PS4?
No, it needs a PS5.
Okay, so
there's no backwards compatibility.
Right. So That's right. I forgot about that. Yes.
Yeah.
Duh. Yeah, I should have put that. So
there are developers that are working on patches. They said they're going to bring them forward.
Yeah.
Some of them are already saying free if you already own the game. So that is good news. But
so there's way less PS5s out there than our PS4s, right? Obviously, this is still early on, somewhat in the generation. It's going to find its audience. It's going to sell to the people that really, really want PlayStation VR. But I feel like the majority of the VR enthusiasts would either just opt for something that's untethered, like a MetaQuest Pro, or get another high-end device for PC. So you have to be like an enthusiast to the next level, in my opinion, to really grasp onto this. Because like $550 is not like, hey, I want to try this type price. You know, $550 is like, I'm day one on this baby. I gotta have it. You know, I'm super excited for this thing. And the question is what kind of longevity appeal does it have for sales to have the commitment of developing things for it, development studios and all these different things, making games exclusively for this device, when you potentially only going to sell a few million, and then with the games within that are only going to sell potentially to only a portion of that audience. So it's a niche thing. I'm glad that Sony's doing it, right? And I'm glad that they're pushing VR forward and they're investing in it and all this kind of stuff. I just don't necessarily know what where the big market is for it, based on the whole concept of this whole thing, right? If I was an enthusiast and I was to pick one, I would pay the little bit extra to just get the MetaQuest Pro, because then you got access to multiple ecosystems. You can have, you know, all the Steam stuff and everything like that, and there's always more content coming to it, and you're not tethered as well. And if you want to be tethered, you can tether to a PC or whatever. So I don't know, man. I just feel like it's like high end console VR. It's cool. It's cool tech. I'm glad they're doing something in the VR space and really trying to push it. It's just not exciting for me, and I don't think it's going to blow up to make it worthwhile for the amount of investment potentially that they have in it.
That is the point that I was going to bring up, Matt. I didn't tell you we're going to go here, but I've been thinking about this over this past week, ever since this was announced, right? And we just had King David on last week. Go check out that show, by the way. Great show. But King's been on this thing that this is the last generation of PlayStation consoles, right? He's on this, you know, that's, again, he predicts things at 98% clip, as he confirmed last week. So he's looked in his crystal ball and he thinks that Sony is out of the consoles space. They're just going to publish after this generation. Okay. Now, people can call him crazy. I'm not on board with the next generation being them out. There's eventuality. Me and Mav have talked about it here, talked about it on their shows, that obviously at some point, once they can get rid of the hardware, all the console makers will get rid of the hardware. Everybody will be a publisher at some point in the future. Again, I'm not seeing it from Sony next generation, but I think there's another question to be asked here, Mav. We've seen Sony try a lot of things like Xbox has through the years. They've innovated. They tried to get into the handheld space that Nintendo dominated. They brought out the PSP, the PSP Go, and then eventually they brought out the Vita. I love my PSP. People weren't ready for the Go at the time. It didn't do well. People weren't ready for all digital. They were ahead of the curve. And the Vita was an absolutely brilliant piece of hardware. One of the best handhelds, the best handheld I've ever personally owned. It had a fan base, a hardcore fan base, but even the Vita could not break out enough for Sony to find it expendable. And I think the big question here to ask, Mav, is that barring some big giant breakthrough game that everybody has to play, because remember, PSVR2, and I saw KhAos ThEory bring it up in the chat as well, PSVR2 is not, as of this moment, natively natively capable of playing on a PC. Now, I figure KhAos and all the tech guys and all the PC MR guys are going to figure it out. You're going to eventually be able to get something that works where the PSVR2 will work with PC. But to your point, Matt, outside of Horizon, that's their only game that you aren't getting anywhere else on VR. Like the rest of the games that they listed have been elsewhere. They didn't even list Half-Life Alyx, which rumors is they're going to announce next year. But that's the biggest VR game, and that's like the only must-play, but it's been on every other VR. So what are they offering you? So my big question here, Matt, is PSVR 2. They obviously didn't read the crystal ball right. They decided to invest their R&D into VR, which again, I appreciate. I understand why they did. I think it's great. We need companies like Sony pushing it forward if we're ever going to get to the point where I'm 90 years old and can plug myself in like the Matrix and we're good to go. That's fine. We got to do that. But they didn't invest in the digital future like Xbox was. They didn't invest in the cloud. They didn't invest into, bringing just simple things like cloud saves, making it easy like Microsoft did. They obviously didn't think that Game Pass would take off. They obviously miscalculated the fact that Microsoft as a corporation was going to jump behind Xbox, and all of a sudden things were going to get real interesting in the gaming industry and real highly competitive. And now Microsoft and Xbox are driving the market in a different direction. They're pushing forward. And here's Sony investing all this money into R&D, investing all this time and resources into VR, where they're lacking in what they need to be doing right now. So my question is, Mav, is this the last VR for PlayStation? Is this the last hurrah? It's not even out yet, so I know it's funny to be asking this question, but could we be seeing the last VR? Because again, to my point, Mav, they see where their needs are right now. They see that they're behind. That's why they're fighting the ABK deal so hard. They see where they're behind Xbox. Now you're going to ask some of your first party studios to start making VR exclusive games as well as trying to grow them to be able to even come close to matching what Xbox is going to be putting out content-wise starting next year. You're all of a sudden going to divide all of those resources up and away from your main platform to work on VR because you're going to need some of that. You're going to need Insomniac to produce some VR stuff. You're going to need them to do something to promote VR2 as like, hey, I got to go get this thing.
Yeah.
So it's not far-fetched in my mind to ask the question, does Sony Corp look at VR and does Jim Ryan look at the VR and say, hey, we were too far along. We had spent too much money. We're too close to this thing launching. We got it out the door. We couldn't reverse course. But looking forward, is this sustainable for us? Or do we need to take those resources that we're investing in the VR and put them where we need to be, including our subscription service, including some kind of cloud offering, some streaming? Could they, just like they did with the Vita, just like they did with PlayStation TV, just like they've done so many times in the past, and we've seen it with Microsoft, again, Kinect was ahead of its curve. They tried to go TV. It didn't work, okay? They cut it. Does PlayStation, does corporation and Jim Ryan look at this and go, hey, we got bigger places to be right now. We got more issues. We got to spend the money elsewhere than in VR. What do you think, man?
I think initially they're going to celebrate the success of it at its launch, right? And be happy with the day one people that bought the game. And then within a couple months, you'll probably start seeing them sit on shelves, right? And at that point, it becomes, okay, like, are we going to sell more of, like, are we going to start selling these at a high attach rate to those consoles? Because they can only still get out of so many consoles. Now, they're ramping up production, which is good. But even if you meet, let's say, in the highest fathomable possible situation, they get like what, a 25% attachment rate for a $550 device. It's crazy high, right? I mean, that's I don't think it's gonna be anywhere near that. Okay.
No.
And no,
PSVR 1 was, I think it topped like 5-6 million, I want to say, maybe 7.
Yeah. So okay, let's say 6 million, and there was like 120 million PS5,
Or
PS4s
1
out
in
there.
20.
So that's
So
like, yeah,
5%, 5% attach rate. Yeah.
No, it's actually less than that, right? No, okay, no, you're right. All right, so yeah, 1 in 20. So you about a 5%. Now let's say like it does way better, and it's at like a 25% attachment rate. Okay, that's like a dream come true, right? Situation. Okay, they're not gonna do as many PS5 sales, I don't believe, as PS4. Right? I don't foresee that. I mean, maybe potentially, eventually they get close to it. So let's say your market's around 100 million. Okay. Years from now. So you eventually, if your dreams come true, you hit 25 million VR headsets out there. Okay. You still have niche games within the device that are only going to appeal to certain people. Right. I understand the VR enthusiast probably has a higher attach rate than most gamers because you're looking for content, right? You're just looking for stuff to buy, especially if you have something like that where it's like the purpose of it was to buy it specifically to play those games. But still, even then, you're still not getting where you need to be. You know what I mean? As far as sales wise, to make it its own viable platform to have that many games in development for it. I just don't understand the market, and the 25% thing, that ain't gonna happen. Everybody,
No.
you're gonna see
not unless something major happens.
Yeah, maybe 10%, right? If it's crazy, if they're really lucky, Yeah. I just don't see the sales being there in the way that they need to keep that going, unless their budget on it is extremely small, which doesn't seem like it is. This is a very high end device. I just never saw the long-term mass potential for a VR headset attached to a console, right?
Not unless it was an extremely low price point.
Yeah, and it could be a detriment to Sony, and like what happened with Kinect and Xbox, and what happened with the developers, and how much attention they spent on that, and it kind of became a detriment to the other lineup of games that we have. And I don't necessarily think that's happening with Sony here. I think they were smarter than Xbox was with their first party at that time. But I would like if I'm a PlayStation gamer, which I am, and I would rather potentially there be investment into the things that is more suited for everybody that is a consumer, and investments there to help grow the brand and help grow the ecosystem and help bring me more value to me. I'm not just a VR enthusiast, right? It's like imagine it's like the Power Pad Pro or like the Power Glove or like all these cool things are awesome. You know what I mean? This is definitely not way beyond that. What I mean, but
VR has a much better future than.
But it's still something you still got to own the device to make another device playable, which then you have to buy games that are only playable on that device. It's just too many things within something, to make it really, really work. VR will get there the mass appeal wise, and maybe if PlayStation does another one after this, it won't be tethered, right?
Mm-hmm.
That would be the only way I could see it, and it's just like almost like another whole team, another whole department of Sony, a whole another branch just deals with VR, right? And it doesn't affect necessarily PlayStation and everything they're doing, but you can have a split off, right? And I feel like if PlayStation really did it again, that's probably how they would do it. We could both be wrong. This thing could end up being a huge, massive success, and the games sell like crazy, and they're super happy with it, and they're just so believe in it so much that it's just going to keep going. But I just think the Meta Quest stuff and everything else is just going to kill it. I honestly do. So
yeah, and I think the price point really speaks to that, Mav. Like, if they were going to be serious and they wanted to break into the masses, and KhAos says he agrees with you. If they were going to break into the masses, again, Sony isn't dumb, okay? They've been through these battles time and time again. They know what it takes. They've not only done it in video games, but they've done it in electronics, they've done it elsewhere. To get mass appeal, to make that breakthrough, you've got to eat cost, and you've got to take a loss on hardware in order to do that. That's why consoles outside of Nintendo, because again, Nintendo swims in their own pond, they eat the cost of the consoles up front to get that base built, right? And then as tech catches up and tech gets cheaper and they can, go through revisions, then they can get it cheaper, and then all of a sudden they can make a little bit of profit off of each console. If you wanted to get VR to the masses, you would eat the cost, and you would have to say, we're going to take a loss. We're going to bring this in at a huge value price point where some people on the fence consider it. What you do here with this price point is you're saying, no, we're premium. This is a premium product. It's a niche product. We already know that, and we're not trying to break into the mass.
But how does that give you confidence in the future lineup of games, right?
It doesn't. That tells me that's why this question started rattling my brain, Mav, was this tells me, just like the Vita. They did the same thing with the Vita. They priced the Vita because it was a premium handheld, which they have every right to do, but they didn't take that loss to try to break into the Nintendo market. And then when they saw the numbers, which they already knew what they were going to be, they stopped supporting the Vita. Even though it did well, if you look at the numbers for a handheld, breaking into Nintendo's bread and butter. Like, again, if you're going to go head to head. So that's what I'm saying. Like, for me, this tells me that this is another one of those products. Sony put R&D into it. They put a lot of resources into it. They believed in it. Obviously, again, they're not just doing this on a whim, but now that they're seeing that they're never going to have that breakthrough moment, that maybe they were ahead too far, or maybe it's just not the right time, that this is the last iteration. And when they put it out there, and they're not going to take a loss on it, they're going to sell through what they can sell through. They're going to hope, like you said, maybe to get above the 5% they did with PSVR 1, but they're going to take in profit, or at least break even on these devices, so that the company doesn't take a loss on it. So when they cut bait on this, when they decide that VR is not their future anymore, and they've got more important matters and more important things to invest that money into, then it's like, okay, well, we tried. We didn't lose a whole lot. We kind of broke even on that sucker. So, it's not a big deal. And I think that's what Sony's going to do here. I really do. I have a firm belief that this is going to be the last VR, unless, barring some kind of breakthrough, some kind of magical game that everybody has to play, including PC VR guys or whatever the case may be, and all of a sudden you see, a run on PlayStation 5s and PSVR 2s together being sold nonstop because gotta play this game. And I just don't see it coming from anywhere, because I don't think, again, with the battle that they're in with Xbox and Microsoft, with having everything on the table right now, that they are going to pull away from their first-party studios, the studios that could potentially create a game of that level. I just don't think they're going to do it. And I don't think they're going to pay another big-time studio outside of their first party to create an exclusive VR game. So everybody's going to be able to play the same games, and you're not going to have to spend the $549 plus the PS5 if you've already got a VR headset somewhere in your house. I just don't see it, man.
Yeah.
I just don't see it.
I don't see the market.
No.
I appreciate the tech of the device. I think it's cool. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But at the end of the day, no matter what, there's still a large amount of people that just are not either interested in VR.
Yes.
They've had bad experiences with VR. They're turned off by it now, and they're not willing to pay $550 to try something. Right? It's just imagine this world, right? Let's say PlayStation had done this and they had a separate team build a device that was more akin to the Meta Quest 2, right? That had their own VR games on there, fun smaller ones and stuff like that, and they had a pipeline of content, and they had all this other apps that they start putting on there and stuff like that, and you had a more untethered experience at either a Meta Quest 2 at the time was $299. And you had to come out and battling against something like that. I think that thing would have sold like crazy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think that thing would have sold like hotcakes. And then at that point, you can get onto the tier of, okay, we're going to have the high-end device and then the mid-spec device. You know what I mean? But whenever you attach it to having to have the hardware first and then the device, it's just only going to have so much potential. The thing is about PCs and VR, there's already so many PCs out there, right? And that a lot of the enthusiasts with VR, a lot of them probably already have a PC, right? Not necessarily the same case for PS5. You know what I mean? So, PC VR uses has much more potential beyond just a PlayStation VR, but it'll do okay for the price that it's at and everything. It just, I think it's just a lost cause. And personally, could be wrong.
Yeah.
You know, I want to see it succeed. I do, because it's cool tech, right? I love like cool tech and I love cool technology, even if it's not for me, right? Because I like the people that are enthusiastic and love that kind of device to get the best experience possible. And there's a lot of people that will be excited for this, right?
Yes.
And I'm not trying to take anything away from them, right? Because if you're like day one on this and you're like super hype about it and you think this is amazing and you understand the price because it's worth it because of the tech that it is, I 100% agree with you with all those things, right? My whole point is just about the longevity and I guess the sustainability of that as a platform and the way that they're doing it, you know. So, but we'll see. Things could change. It could blow up, and who knows?
Could be, but I just thought it was an interesting conversation to have outside of the price point, because I knew neither you nor I were in the surprise camp at all. We were both in this expecting.
That's what I expected, and I've been on the same page about their ideas behind what they're doing with VR ever since I found out it was tethered.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep.
Nope.
Yep. No, and I agree with you 100%. So, good discussion. I see the chat is fired up about it too. Again, a lot of discussion, and it's not even being critical of Sony, because again, I give them all the props in the world for trying something different. I gave Xbox the props for trying Kinect, even though I wasn't into it. I didn't give them props for doing the TV stuff, but that was Donnie D. So you got to give people props for trying to push a medium forward, no matter what it is. Like you said, Mav, not everybody does that. There's a lot of people who hate on things just because they're not interested, but Mav and I aren't like that. Again, at some point in my life, I want to have Ready Player One, and it's going to take companies like Sony, Valve, all the rest of them, Meta, to push this stuff forward. So I appreciate it, and I think it's cool. I just think they missed the mark price point wise to open it up to more people, and that's all I'm saying.
To be real, like the only way it would have mass potential, like, is if it was like $199, $299, somewhere between there. And that's just like not going to happen with the
not
tech.
Now,
yeah,
tech.
No, definitely not. But like when you're selling a device within a device, it's like, it's just the pricing's got to be affordable, you know, like, and you can get 2 Series S's for that, you know. Yeah, for the price of a PSVR 2 and a PS5, you can like almost get 4.
It's true. That's very true.
It's insane.
It is. It's for the enthusiasts. Again, it's for the ultimate. That's what they've set it up for. It's for the enthusiasts, which is cool. It's for that hardcore group. It's for the people who have expendable cash in a very tough point in the world right now. But there are still people out there that have them, and those people are going to probably have a great experience with it. Again, all the tech guys in this community have said they put forth the effort. Like the tech in this is top of the line. Like this is not skimping. Like they're trying to be up there with the best headsets. Again, give them props, but you're going to have a limited audience for that type of VR experience. So,
I hope it's successful.
We'll see. Yes, so do I. All right, Mav, God of War, God of Scores today. The review embargo lifted this morning, and again, give myself a little pat on the back, some flowers. My crystal ball is tuned in. I thought this was going to score. I said it, 94. I said anywhere between 94 and 96, but I said 94. I think Steele and I talked about it on Living Split Screen. I'm pretty sure that's where I said it officially. And guess what, Mav? All the whispers, all the previews that we had read, everybody coming out, including people saying this was on an OLED, it was like a PS6 game, whatever that was supposed to mean. Yeah. Kind of turned out to be reality, because right now on Open Critic, 124 reviews, it's sitting at a 94.
So So this is out on the PS4, the PS5, and the PS6.
Yes, on the PS6. Yes. King, you were wrong. It's already on. They already got a PS6. We just don't know about it. Just like they had RDNA 3 as well. But man, I listened to Art ACG's review. I listened to Skillup's review as well. As read some reviews. I didn't get down too deep with everybody here as far as the reviews go, but there was some central themes here that I think kind of showed up and why people are scoring this so high. Basically, Sony Santa Monica took everything that God of War 2018 was and just built upon that and improved upon that. This is exactly what you want from a sequel. Now, as we all know, it's not always that easy, and devs don't always do that. Sometimes devs get strange with sequels and try new things and say, hey, we got to be different from the first one. But Sony Santa Monica, obviously, from everything that I'm hearing, sat back, looked at 2018, and again, remember, this is one of their big teams, but Cory Barlog isn't heading this team. Cory's off doing another brand new IP. So there was some change at the top here, but all they did was sit back, look at 2018 and said, look, we've got the blueprint. We've learned some things from that blueprint. Let's just improve. Let's put rubber on the round wheel that we created. Let's make it a little bit better. And that's exactly what they've done here. I've heard the story is better. I've heard the side quests are better. I've heard some crazy things about the side quests. In fact, that somebody put out there that this surpasses Witcher 3's side quests, which, oh boy, I don't know if everybody's going to agree with that one. But anyways, the overarching theme with all these reviews was they took God of War 2018, made the combat better, made a better story, characters got better, graphics did improve in some areas, side quests got better. We just have a better complete package than even the 2018 God of War. Scores reflect it. Mav, I know you haven't been able to play it yet. You don't have a review copy. I know that you've tried 2018. You were going to finish it, and then you got sidetracked again. You were kind of like me. I played 2018 for a bit on the PS4 before I sold it. I thought it was a great game, but it wasn't anything compelling to me. It wasn't something, and again, I'm a grazer, so again, I don't finish a whole lot of games. But God of War 2018, for all the praise it got, it wasn't one of those games where I said, nah, I got to finish this one. It wasn't like that for me, and for you, I've heard you talk about it. It wasn't like that either. It didn't draw you in like it's done with a lot of people out there. But when you see these review scores, do you think that this one is going to be that game for you? I mean, it's hard to tell until you play it, but do you think it has potential?
It has a lot of potential for sure, because ever since I saw that last trailer that they had at the last showcase they did, the variety of the game, of the characters and the environments, were a lot more appealing to me than 2018. It's really hard for games to get above a 90, even harder than in a 2018 when that came out. I feel like it's a rare occasion now when a game actually breaks that 90 barrier on meta,
especially for a sequel.
Yeah, especially for a sequel. And again, reviews don't really matter to me as far as what I look for in a game, but it does impact the overall consensus and overall kind of like hype level and in the community and stuff like that. So I think that's good. Overall, I think it's really awesome that a AAA game today, a story-based narrative game, is scoring like this, right? It gives hope that, you know, AAA is not dead and all these different things, and you can really come out with a good polished experience, spend the time and effort, and really do a game right. And Sony Santa Monica is proving again that they're one of the top, most consistent, top tier developers out there with putting out quality content. For whatever reason, you're right, 2018 just didn't click with me. Now, it's not because it was a bad game. I'm not the type of person that, because I'm not necessarily like in love with something, that says it's trash or like it's garbage because it didn't click with me. I can play that game. I can appreciate like how great it is, even though I personally wasn't into it. You know what I mean? Like, and there's a lot of games out there that are like that for people. And God of War 2018 was one of those. So for that reason, I'm not day one on this game, right? I'm gonna wait. There's so many other games that I'm just into right now, and I feel like I'd be doing a disservice to it to dive right in right away, play for a little bit, potentially not come back to it for a long time. So I'll probably wait a little while to pick it up. Maybe if it goes on sale or something, it'll be a good time to snatch it. Who knows how long that'll be before they put this on sale. But I'm definitely excited for this game, just not as much as I am for the things that are launching in December, which I know I'm going to have to pay $70 a piece for those. And so I didn't want to add another $70 game that I don't know if I'm going to finish. You know what I mean? So, awesome scores though, man. It's like crazy impressive. Kudos to PlayStation Studios, to Sony Santa Monica, and all these guys. I'm curious to see.
They broke the 88 streak, man.
They did.
They broke the 88.
I was curious. Everybody's wondering, are they going to get over the 90? You know, I think 94 is going to be where it stays at probably, because they already got like 120 reviews almost in there now. Yep. So it'll probably hit there. It is going to be a contender with Elden Ring probably, but I still think Elden Ring pulls it out. But yeah, it's awesome to see. You know, I can't wait to see some gameplay, like when people streaming it and stuff like that, and really kind of see some of that experience and check that out, because that may sway me. You know, FOMO may get me at that point and have to dive in, but we'll see, man. Are you like, and you don't have a PS5 right now or even a PS4, but would you have been day one on this, you think, or
no?
You would have waited?
Like I've gotten FOMO's gone for me for the most part. Every once in a while it'll rear its ugly head. So I don't give FOMO. Like I got used to it during the PlayStation 4 generation. I just stopped buying games out the gate and got them on sale because I know what I am as a gamer. I realize that I'm a grazer and that there's just not going to be a whole lot of games that I put that much time into. This God of War, again, because I was a Jaffe God of War fan versus Corey's version. And again, I appreciate what Corey did. I understand why they went this direction. It obviously worked well for them. And again, Sony Santa Monica, one of the top developers in the entire world, and they've shown again why. But I don't think that this would have been enough to get me to say, yes, I'm day one on God of War Ragnarok. Again, it's just, I don't know what it is, Mav, like you. Same went for Spider-Man. And part of that is because I'm not the biggest superhero guy. And Spider-Man was never one of my, even when I was a comic book kid, Spider-Man wasn't one of my favorite superheroes. But for me, Spider-Man, it's a cool game. It's a polished game, but nothing special. So again, why? For me, it's not a day one type game. So God of War falls in that same. It's a great game. Looks beautiful. I like the gods and that kind of stuff. I got to be honest. I like angry Kratos better than dad Kratos. That's just me. I like the old, hey, I'm going to go kill things. I'm going to have sex and I'm going to be angry. Like, I like that Kratos. Okay. I do. I don't like the sad dad Kratos that everybody does, even if it is emotionally much more humanistic, human-like, even though they've given him these human type qualities and you can relate as being a dad, as somebody that I have been a dad, I can relate to him and Atreus's, kind of relationship. I can see that. But for me, Atreus is annoying. I want to go kill shit. I want to go beat up shit. If I'm Kratos, I want to go do that. I don't want all this other nonsense. So that's where it loses me, I think, in a lot of ways. But again, shout out to Sony Santa Monica. I put out a congratulations tweet today with the scores. Again, one of the top development houses to take God of War 2018 and not screw it up and come back with a game that is close, if not the same score, it's within range of the first God of War, is impressive, especially without Barlog leading the team. I think that's great for the new leadership over at Sony Santa Monica that they were able to do this without, Corey's. I'm sure he had input and I'm sure he was around and I'm sure he was there, but not the same and not direct hands-on all the time. So I think it's awesome. And Sony Santa Monica proves themselves yet again. So shout out to them. And I know how many people in this community, again, I'm not one of those people, Mav, just like you. Just because I don't like Zelda doesn't mean that I don't understand why there's a huge fan base that thinks Breath of the Wild is one of the greatest games, if not the greatest game of all time. Just because it isn't for me doesn't mean I can't understand. So the excitement level of everybody that's going to have a chance to go back to God of War, and that Ragnarok is just doing something even beyond 2018 and is going to give you whole new experiences. I saw the reviewers talking about how much better the combat is as far as the AI goes from the enemies, how much more variety in the enemies there are, how many more different environments you're going to be able to experience in this God of War, how much bigger the story feels overall. Like all of that, I'm excited for gamers who have been waiting on this. And this is what the holidays should be. And Sony hasn't done this in a long time. They skipped the holidays for years, man, because they didn't need it. Now, guess what? They got one of their biggest franchises, if not their biggest franchise outside of Spider-Man, dropping in the holiday season, and you can feel the buzz. It's wintertime coming. Not everywhere in the world, of course. Australia's coming in the summer. But it's that feeling. It's of the holidays. Like everybody gets in that mood, and they get to go play a game that they've been waiting years for this time around in 2022. And you can feel that excitement in the community. And so shout out to all the gamers out there who are going to go enjoy this.
Yeah.
Again, the clown show on both sides
out in full force.
I already saw what I said was going to happen, Mav. I think you and I had this discussion either here or on Xbox Ultimate. What did I tell you was going to happen, Mav, when God of War launched? You remember?
That people were going to shit all over it from the Xbox side? And
no.
Like,
that they were going to compare it to what, Mav?
I don't know, Pong. My memory sucks. Help me out here. I know we talked about this.
I already saw it. Somebody actually put up screenshots of God of War.
Oh, versus Pentiment? Yes. Oh, dude,
yes.
Yeah. What asshole like trash is that? Like that's the only first party game that Xbox creates is Pentiment. I saw that. I was like, what the hell is this guy doing?
Already.
Like, creating this. I mean, come on. Yeah, you're right. We did. We predicted you.
Yes.
You're 100%.
Yes.
Yes, we did talk about that. My God.
Oh, Sony Sony first party studios versus Xbox first party studios. And God of War versus Pentiment.
Yeah, that's what it is. Watch Pentiment like get a 98 on Metacritic. And
God, that'd be fucking hilarious. Slip into Game of the Year conversations like out of the blue.
The early feedback is crazy positive on that game, actually. So you never freaking know that it could potentially be a candidate. But yeah, dude, freaking, it's such craziness on social media. Like you can't just have like a normal discussion. Like, hey, if a game isn't for you, it's not for you. Right? You don't have to fucking use it for comparative reasons and all these things and try and trash on things. And this is like that. That's the part of the console war stuff that's just like ridiculous, But people buy into it, They see that and they're like, oh yeah, this is why I don't like Xbox, because they only make games like Pentiment, which looks like an old English like tapestry game. I don't that's all the Xbox got to know. It's
the small passion project from a team of 14 versus God of War, who probably had almost 300, 400 developers.
It's just interesting to know what the conversation is going to be like next year, right? And the year after that, and the year, because the goalposts always move, the conversation always moves, and stuff. And next year, when Starfield, Redfall, Forza Motorsport, and potentially something like Hellblade 2 comes out, or whatever else they got, Diablo 4 could even be in Game Pass day one at that point. Also, like all these different things. If all those happen, and it's like, what is the conversation at that point? Where does the goalpost move? Publisher, the Xbox Publisher of the Year in 2021. Really? There were? I mean, they had games in 2020. Yes, yeah, lots of them. 2022 was a rough year for first party, right? It's also a rough year for third party AAA as well, across the industry. That's why there's so many damn games releasing in 2023. It's ridiculous, Right. So yeah, it's insane to see some of the stuff. It also goes from the Xbox side, just trying to like shit all over it, saying same old, same old. I would say that I would like to see Sony branch out more. You know what I mean? Yeah. See if they can do some in other genres as well as they can do some of these. But that's still, you can't take anything away from this for that, for sure.
I was just going to bring that up, Mav. The interesting part about this, because it goes into this, and I think I heard again. I was in and out of you over on World of Gaming today with Boxenberger and Wandering Dutch.
Yeah.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you guys did discuss this point as well. The interesting part of this, Mav, is that Sony has painted themselves into a corner by making some of the best third-person narrative-driven, over-the-shoulder type games that we always talk about. But they focus so heavily on that. But their studios are masters at narrative crafting in a game. Okay, nearly every single one of their studios are masters at that. They've got some of the best writers. They got some of the best producers. They make these games that are almost like interactive movies in a way when it comes to the narrative point. And again, I'm not knocking that when I say that. What I'm saying is that's what you see with the hype of God of War or even a Last of Us, even though Last of Us 2, I'm not going to get into it. They shot themselves in the foot there. But again, they tried, and the people who love it to death. Sony now has to go out and diversify again. Microsoft, on the other side, has been diverse in almost every genre. And I will argue, Western RPGs have big narratives. It's just that there's so much more going on. It's not a controlled type, it's not a controlled experience like a God of War or Last of Us is. But they've got all these other genres, but the one that they're missing is this heavy narrative-driven game. And yes, there are Plague's Tale out there, obviously. We know that
Hellblade 2 is coming.
Hellblade, yeah, thank you. My brain just farted. Hellblade was a narrative-focused game, different type of narrative, but still a narrative-driven game as well. And obviously, we're expecting Hellblade 2 to expand upon that even more. But man, there is something about those types of games that Xbox, as COG says, just one. Just one. That's all they need is just one franchise. Find one studio, and maybe it's Ninja Theory. Maybe Hellblade 2 comes out and it has more appeal than the first Hellblade did because it's a bigger story, obviously, by the looks of things. Again, we don't know, but it looks like it's going to be a much bigger story. The first Hellblade was very personal. It was all about Senua and her experience and her trials and her brain and the voices in her head and all of that. That was her. Maybe Hellblade 2 expands it to a much bigger kind of open story with more people, more characters involved. But man, it's funny how much this drives excitement, these types of games. And Xbox has everything else, and Sony's looking for everything else. It's just the dichotomy of these two, where they went and how they got to where they are is just crazy to me. Because again, when Starfield gets a launch date, we're going to see hype like this, and it's for a much bigger game, it's a Western RPG. It's people forget what Bethesda launches are like, and what the talk is around town when a new Bethesda title is coming out, because we don't get them like we do with a God of War or even a Last of Us. We don't get them that frequently, so people forget. But just interesting that the narrative-driven game creates this much excitement. You agree, Mav?
Yeah, for sure. I feel like for some reason they get more attention.
Yeah.
Xbox does just need like one big one. I think Hellblade 2 is going to be that. I think that's why they're pushing it at the Game Awards so much. Yes. Because they're capturing a lot of that audience that is looking for those games to win the Game of the Year and all that kind of stuff, right? So it just makes a lot of sense. But I don't want them to like do it just for the sake of it. I feel like the developers really got to have the passion for making that, and that's what I feel like. You don't want to get boxed into anything, right? Like, and I feel like a lot of the PlayStation developers are kind of boxed into doing this certain thing. Maybe that's what they want to do, 100%. But it is a lot of the samey type stuff, which is cool. They review great. They sell fairly well, and some of them sell incredibly well. It helps them get that name for quality and all that kind of stuff as well. Then they push that premium thing. But I'm more of a variety guy because I like so many different genres.
Yes.
And me and you are the same. Like, I don't just like one genre. I like a lot of different genres, and that's why I like kind of what Xbox has been doing. Now PlayStation's growing in those regards. They're doing more live service things, or they acquired Bungie, so that's going to help in a lot of things. But yeah, I would like to see, as much as I want to see Xbox do one of those, I play on I have a PlayStation for those games, right?
Yeah.
So personally, I think Xbox needs to for their ecosystem, but I personally don't care if they have that or not, because I have everything else on Xbox, but they do need to, for variety reasons, to have that on the console for the consumer. But I would argue again to PlayStation, they need more different genres and for their first party, way more than Xbox needs a AAA first person narrative driven game. Yes. Because you got PlayStation first party, you got racing, and you got those games. And I mean, you occasionally have something like
Ratchet and Clank.
There's not a lot of different variety stuff there, but they're getting there as well. So, it's not ever pointed out. You know what I mean? Like, the conversations had a lot about Xbox missing that, but it's not ever pointed out how many different genres the first party of Sony is not really tackling.
Right.
And it's a lot. There's a lot there. So I would like to see that even more so than I would like to see Xbox do a narrative game.
Yep. No, I agree.
Which is coming anyway. So
it is. And it's going to happen, and both of them are going to get on track because Sony has to, and Microsoft, like I said, I do believe Hellblade 2 could be that. Shout out to some other people showing up in here. AJH, what's going on? Great to see you in here. Frizzle, great to see you. Fahim, Scott, brother, a regular on Living Split Screen every Saturday morning. Brother, great to see you. And don't you dare start with I don't know about Starfield. Oh, Fahim, don't come in here with that nonsense, brother. You know who you're talking to. KY Bob is in the house. Great to see you as well. And all the regulars that are still in here as well. I see all of you. I'm just shouting out some of the new people that I didn't get to shout out before. Sappho, thank you for dropping in here, my friend. Great to see you as well. Live Supremacy, awesome to have you in here. Dead Planet, what's going on? Great to have you in here. Devin Hayes, what's going down? Who else we got in here? Anybody? Oh, Hargeet Chatty, what's going on, Hargeet? Thanks for stopping in, brother. Great to see you. As always, man. RWK88, it wouldn't be a chat without you, sir. Thank you for dropping in here, saying hi to me and Mav. Appreciate all of you again, whether you're listening live or in the future. Thank you all for being here and joining me and Mav. We're just having a heck of a time discussing tonight. HTK360, otherwise known as Brother Peter. What is going on? Let's see. Anybody else I missed? All right.
We do have a super chat from Dead Planet.
We do have a super chat? Yeah, Dead Planet, $2. I just hope Hellblade 2 isn't depressed. Is that Gears of War?
God of War.
God of War.
I think we know they're going with God of War there.
For me, GOW will always be Gears of War,
because
that's what started it. Even though God of War was out same time as Gears of War, that abbreviation was everywhere for Gears of War, everywhere. And then God of War somehow took it over. I don't know. It just depends who you talk to, but GOW to me always says Gears of War. But if you meant God of War, depressed God of War, no, but I think dark. And I don't think it's going to be God of War style, because God of War is the sad dad simulator, and I don't think Senua is going to be taking on anybody like outside of like her troops or whatever the heck's going on in that one scene that we did get to see where she seems to be leading people. Yeah. She's not going to have little kids run around. This is going to be dark. This is going to be heavy.
Yeah.
So.
The last Hellblade was very immersive. Yes. Also, it was like watching a movie while playing it in a way. So it varies in instances with that kind of stuff. But I want to touch back before we move on, Pong.
Yeah.
Something you mentioned, like it had this thought, right? You said Kratos, you prefer the old Kratos, and he they just drank and had sex and killed things, right? And that's pretty much what he did. So what if they released that experience on VR? You had drink fucking kill Kratos the game. You beat Kratos, you just drink fucking kill. You know that? Do you think that would push the VR units?
It would probably push some more VR units for sure.
Yeah,
it would probably push some more. Yes, for me personally, no, it still wouldn't move the needle.
Yeah,
because I wouldn't be having a full body experience. But I think it would push the needle if you came out with something like that. Especially, it'd have to be good though. It'd have to be good.
Right.
Like, it couldn't be some cheesy garbage, right? Like,
Yeah.
hey,
DFKK.
right.
Go.
Yeah, but no, I think that would move the needle. I think they would need content like that, man. They would need a diverse amount of content from their first parties that were exclusive to PSVR2. That's what I truly believe, that to push the needle at that price. I think it'd have to be something you could not find anywhere else. So yeah, something like that might.
Yeah, it'd be crazy. That would draw some
Yeah.
hype, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Shout out to KY Bob, member for 16 months. Wow, 16 months, dude. Super appreciate that. He said, "Boom, the lube is back." I don't know what that means, but that's awesome.
Shout out to you, KY. I think he's going with the KY side of things. So the boom,
the lube,
the
yeah,
lube
the KY,
is back.
yeah,
the
okay.
KY is back.
That really fits in with the DFKK discussion that we just had.
Yes, it does. All right. So, Mav, we had something else interesting pop up this week. Oh, God, this has created a whole conversation as well. I can't believe the big brains in this community, Mav. I can't. Sometimes I don't even know what to do some days. Like, I just scroll past. I've muted so much that, like, I don't see a lot of it. But my God, but it was interesting news on multiple levels this week, Mav. And I think you probably know where I'm going. Our friend, good friend of everybody in this community, I think he follows nearly everybody, Jason Schreier. And you can hit him up in the DMs.
What's up, McLovin?
McLovin. I saw your picture, by the way. That was fucking fantastic. Yeah, you can hit Jason up in the DMs. He's always willing to talk back with you. It's great.
Yeah.
But Jason
fantastic
broke some.
Human.
Yeah, he broke news in the way that he always breaks news. He just casually drops it in a tweet, and then people pick up on it and ask him, and then he's like, "Oh, well, yeah, this is the first time I've ever spoken about it, but yes, this is true." So he did it this way. So this week, we got news that Embracer Group had shut down one of the divisions, Anoma, which had just recently changed names. They were Square Montreal underneath Square Enix, and this is a part of the Eidos Montreal group. Embracer closed down the Anoma group. A lot of people were up and, oh my God, here we go. They're already closing down at Eidos. No. This was their mobile division. Okay, this was the division that was responsible for Hitman Go on mobile. So they closed them up, and a lot of the people were folded into Eidos itself, the main proper studio. So Jason dropped information on that. Said that some of the staff will move to Eidos Montreal. Eidos canceled an unannounced game. And Eidos, this is the part that, like, if you didn't read it or you read it, like, quickly, it wouldn't have caught you a certain way until I reread it. And then I was like, wait. And then I put it in the DMs. I'm like, are you guys seeing this? Eidos working with Xbox on games, plural. That's the first part you should recognize. Now, if you just read it quickly, or if you're just thinking Crystal Dynamics, Eidos, because those are the two, you'd be like, oh yeah, Crystal Dynamics is working on, Perfect Dark. But if you read this, no, specifically saying Eidos working with Xbox on games like Fable.
Yeah. One example. So there's more.
Yeah. And then let's see, what else did he go on to say? He said Eidos Montreal, which remains intact, canceled the Stranger Things inspired Kids on Bikes game that was rumored recently. They're now working on a new IP, recently rescoped, a new Deus Ex, very, very early, which is freaking amazing. Co-dev partnerships with Xbox, including Fable. So we got Crystal Dynamics on Perfect Dark, which people were like, why are they going to do that, right? They don't need help over there. This is a quadruple A studio, an initiative. Why do they need Crystal Dynamics? What's going on with Xbox? And of course, that was during a time when we were hearing about all the people leaving the initiative. There was some turmoil, some talk over there. But Crystal Dynamics made a lot of sense. But now, Mav, we got another big, giant game coming from Xbox in Fable, which people are hyped for, being developed by Playground, who is obviously well known for Forza Horizon games. They've never made a game outside of the racing genre. We know that there's been a lot of learning going on over at Playground. They've been hiring a ton of people from across the industry to help with this game. But now we find out that Eidos Montreal is working with Xbox on Fable to help them out. So we got two teams, Mav. And why this gets interesting, folks. Mav, you were on the Iron Lords podcast. How many months ago? Was it two months ago?
That was like
3 months
it
ago?
was like
When
no, it
did
was
they
like
sell?
in May or something.
May. So okay, so even longer.
Yeah.
Again, time's flying by. So yeah, so like 6 months ago, whenever the deal with Embracer Group went down, when they bought, I thought that was only 3-4 months ago. Is it really that long ago?
Yeah, I have the tweet.
Wow.
Yeah,
Crazy. Okay. Time goes by very fast when you get older, folks. If you didn't know. But you were on Iron Lords. You were on there with Slow-Mo. Slow-Mo Backslap, shout out to him. Good member of this community. He's been on Xbox Ultimate with us multiple times. Slow-Mo's really good, but you guys were on there and you guys were talking about this deal. And Slow-Mo, I think, is probably one of the first to bring it up. We talked about it later as well on PM and the PM, and I think we might have even covered on Xbox Ultimate too, after the fact. But Slow-Mo brought up the fact that, you know, with Microsoft and Xbox being wrapped up in this ABK deal, wasn't it interesting that Embracer Group bought Crystal Dynamics and Eidos Montreal for a pittance, okay?
Yeah.
A ridiculous $300 million, right? For both the studios and all the IP, including, of course, Tomb Raider, Deus Ex, etc. They paid $300 million, and everybody scratched their heads at that amount and said, what is Square doing? Why would they sell them off for this lowly amount? But Slow-Mo specifically said on the show, what if, Matt, what if, because Microsoft and Xbox are wrapped up in the ABK deal, we know that they were looking at Crystal Dynamics and Eidos. It's obvious now, especially now that we know that Eidos Montreal is working on Fable. This obviously was in the pipeline. We had surmised this long ago, Mav, even before the deal was announced.
It was our most expected acquisition.
Our most expected thing. We knew Square. Again, you can go back and listen to our shows last year talking about Square and what are you doing with your Western divisions. You guys don't need them. You obviously don't want them. You're going to sell them off is obviously what's happening. We talked about this. So we had said that obviously Xbox and Microsoft, Phil loves Tomb Raider. He's loved that IP for a long time. The last real exclusive deal that he did with somebody was for Tomb Raider back in the day, funding it and everything. So it just made perfect sense that Crystal Dynamics and Eidos were on their radar for acquisition. But obviously now that the ABK deal is going on and all this stuff is on hold, Slow-Mo said, what if Embracer Group is doing Microsoft a favor here? What if they're just parking Crystal Dynamics and Eidos in their garage while Microsoft gets done with this ABK deal, and then they wind up flipping them to Microsoft for profit? Obviously, this isn't going to just be a, hey,
this ain't free.
Obviously, this ain't free, but Embracer, you know, Microsoft probably knew what the going price was on them. Embracer was in a position to do this. $300 million is nothing. When's the gentleman's agreement? Phil Satya said, hey, Lars, CEO over at Embracer. Lars, listen, buddy. Go pick these guys up for $300 million. We get done with this little ABK deal. We'll get you back, 3-4 times.
They met in like a back alley somewhere.
Like,
exchanged like decoded messages. Yeah.
Lars has got a lit cigarette. He's got his raincoat on.
Yeah.
He's got the.
It had to have been raining also at the time.
It had to be. It had to be.
That way there's nobody else around.
But this was interesting, and obviously you guys talked about it on Iron Lords. Obviously King was like, whoa, wait a minute. And he's got he says him and Slow-Mo are going to do a show together if this goes down. But it obviously made a lot of sense. And at the time, it was just Crystal Dynamics that we knew that was working on Perfect Dark. But now, Matt, now that you add in this new information from Jason Schreier, everybody's good friend, that Eidos is also working on Fable, does this get more real, or is this just a case where Embracer Group, being the investment group, again, one of my favorite companies out there right now. Lars, I love Lars, man. He's doing everything right. Are they just maybe in a spot where they're using Crystal Dynamics and Eidos, and this is part of the deal, and they're just going to contract them out to different studios or different publishers or different, people like Xbox that need them, and it just so happened that Xbox had a need for with a couple of these games? Or is there more to it here, man?
Could it be both? I mean, because when they made that acquisition and they talked about these things, and they talked about this wasn't going to change the ongoing relationship with Crystal Dynamics and Xbox working on Perfect Dark, and they may be doing more deals like that in the future, right? They actually stated that at the time. So I found that interesting. Also, it's always been a hypothesis. Now, it may not necessarily been a gentleman's agreement or like a back alley deal or whatever. It could have just been smart thinking and seizing of opportunity by Embracer Group, seeing the writing on the wall, like two Joe Schmoes like us on a podcast can predict this stuff. I'm sure they have their analysts that can kind of predict the interest there too, and turning a potential profit on an investment of some studios, right? So if they were to see that potential, maybe they saw it as an opportunity. Now, who knows exactly what Embracer is going to do with this? Who knows exactly also if there was pre-existing contracts already written in place as well between Eidos Montreal, Square Enix, and Microsoft for development support on these games, and they just haven't ever publicly acknowledged the fact that that's happening. It's interesting that Schreier came out and made these tweets now, because it adds more perspective to how deep this goes, right? Because I feel like Xbox was going to make this move, right?
Yes, 100%.
I feel like it, and I
For
feel
that
like
price point,
right,
done deal.
And I feel like with the discussions that Embracer Group would have had to have with Square, maybe that has to have been disclosed, right, as well, about the existing contracts. I got to know what they're getting, right? I don't know what they can share and what they can't share. So if I'm wrong, I don't know, but I would assume if you're get to close to the finish line of purchasing these studios, you got to know what kind of contracts they have in place or what they're going to be doing for a few years at least. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Microsoft knew about all the studios that they were buying. Right. They knew about all the existing contracts. Yeah.
If you're to make a wise business decision, you come up and scoop this thing up while you have the chance, knowing you can flip it later for potentially way more, right? That would be smart thinking if you're in that business. Now, whether it's a gentleman's agreement or not, it could be the play. They could decide to hold on to him. They like the money that they're getting from this deal, or potentially, I don't know if they're getting in a cut of the revenue of the games or whatever. I don't know how the contracts are written out. But what is interesting again is when you go plural with the games, because like Fable's a massive one, right? Eidos Montreal and Crystal Dynamics both are very technical savvy developers. A lot of industry veterans there that really know how to develop top quality games. Also have a lot of experience with narrative driven games as well, and things like that. So I would say that I'm curious what the games are. I would assume that Eidos might be also working with Crystal D on Perfect Dark, potentially. Who knows? But what other games are they helping with, right? So that makes me wonder, like, what other games are there? Games that have already been announced? Are they unannounced games? Are they helping with things like Avowed? Are they helping with like
Compulsion's game is my
Compulsion? Yeah, Compulsion. You know, like there's so many different things out there that they could be potentially working with. And now the thing is here, the more entrenched that they are with Microsoft, right? It makes more and more sense for them to eventually become a part of Microsoft, which, regardless of what the plans were to begin with or what happened, makes more and more sense at some point to make this a done deal. And maybe the hands were tied and they couldn't do it then. So when this deal's done, Embracer Group selling off a couple of their studios isn't going to be a big deal at the end of the day to any of the regulators or anything. I don't think that'll also prevent them from doing any other publisher acquisitions after that. So I think those were always in the plans for Xbox, and I think maybe Embracer Group is just letting that continue on until the deal's done. The question I have is, if they were to sell to Microsoft, and this were to sell Crystal Dynamics and they were to sell Eidos Montreal to Microsoft, they're already so entrenched with helping on all these games. Do you let Tomb Raider and Deus Ex go to Microsoft, or do you hold on to that piece of the pie as your prize for making the deals happen?
I've got a thought on that.
Okay.
Embracer and Microsoft have a good relationship. Lars and Phil think a lot alike in a lot of ways in this industry, right?
Yeah.
They both are very aware of the history of video games, of media in general, and they're both very protective of that history. So this would be an exchange between two individuals, if you're talking about Phil and Lars talking about a deal like this, who have the same goals in mind in a lot of ways. Here's what I see happening, Matt. Because Embracer Group is so interested in transmedia and using the media elsewhere, they just, they acquired Dark Horse comics, all that kind of stuff. You can work it out, Mav, where Microsoft owns the gaming rights IP-wise to Tomb Raider, Deus Ex, but they allow Embracer Group to keep the rest of the rights for comic books, for movies, for TV. That's where I think that you could come to common ground here. You could actually help out with the price point by offering those rights to Embracer Group to keep those rights, because obviously right now, as it stands, Xbox has a ton of IP. They haven't shown any interest to jump back into the entertainment as a whole outside of, Halo over on Paramount, but I'm talking about internally themselves. So it wouldn't be that big a deal for Tomb Raider, Deus Ex, Legacy of Kain, et cetera, to remain from a media standpoint on that side with Embracer. But Microsoft and Phil, because it's very important to Phil that he owns the IP that he works on. That's why we don't see a lot of licensing deals. The games of Tomb Raider and Deus Ex do come with those two studios, and I think that would be one way that you get around that. And I think Embracer and Large would be happy with that deal, knowing that they could expand upon those universes, and it would start a mutual relationship with Embracer Group. Again, I'm not in the camp that says Microsoft and Xbox are ever going to buy Embracer. Embracer have their hands in way too much stuff. They've also got the Saudis backing them. I just don't think it happens. I think they're way too big. They're way too, again, they've got too many other things that they do. They do board games. They do like gift shops. Like they do all this random stuff as well that I just don't think Microsoft would ever be interested in. But I think you develop that co-relationship with them, and who knows where that leads elsewhere. They now own Dark Horse Comics, right? What happens if you take one of your new IP that you're getting from ABK or from, one of your old IP, Gears of War, and you turn it into a Dark Horse comic? I mean, there's always that relationship now that you have starting to build. So I think that's what potentially could happen if this deal were to ever come to fruition. I think as well, there's great of a chance. It's a 50-50 chance here. I think there's a great of a chance that Embracer just sees the investment potential of contracting out these teams to studios like Xbox that are to publishers, developers, whoever that need help. I think that they see some return of investment, because I think, again, on World of Gaming, again, I was in and out, but I think a guy has heard you touch on this.
Yeah.
How serious is Embracer Group about jumping into AAA gaming? Because AAA gaming is a whole nother level when it comes to expenses. How risky are they willing to get with allowing a Crystal Dynamics and Eidos to create a AAA Deus Ex, to create a AAA Tomb Raider, right?
And they didn't have a good experience almost with that category with Saints Row so far, right?
Correct.
So so that I brought up today.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. Like it's interesting if they are just nervous to dive into that big time, but then they also are talking about bringing back these franchises and all this stuff. So it's like I have a feeling they have plans that they want to, but they're growing so fast and they have so much investment left and right and all these things, and the environment's not the same as it was 2 years ago right now. You know what I mean? So I feel like I almost see them like kind of slowing down a little bit, Embracer Group, and trying to calm down here to see how they're going to make all this work that they've acquired so rapidly. And maybe just continuing this is going to help them fund some of their other games. Potentially. I don't know. Like we'll see though, man. It's like it's a good fit. Part of it could just been existing contracts.
Yeah.
But if it is existing contracts, it still lets you know how serious Xbox was about acquiring them.
Oh yeah,
right?
Absolutely. Again, what's the biggest need in this industry right now? It's
Development talent, for sure.
Correct. And you get two highly skilled veteran teams filled with talent out the gates. You can't build that. You can't create that out of thin air. Again, we saw Xbox try it with the initiative. They brought in some of the best of the best. They were overspending to bring in some of the biggest names in development to the initiative, and it didn't work. It's not as easy, just like people like to build dream teams in sports. It's not that easy, folks. There's a lot that goes into creating a studio. So if you can acquire two studios like that, especially at a bargain basement price point, that is invaluable to your long-term goals, and it's something that I think Xbox will eventually make happen one way or the other with those two teams. I honestly do believe they'll drop the bag. I mean, they'll overpay compared to what Embracer got them for, but that's what you do. If you're in a position of need like that, you get the ABK deal done, you want those two teams who you already know you can work well with, you go buy them. Let me ask you this, Mav. I want to bring up the big brains out here in the community. I want to ask your perspective on this as well, because I think this is absolutely freaking hilarious to me. We went through this when we found out Crystal Dynamics was going to work on Perfect Dark, but now we're going through it again now that we know Eidos Montreal is working on Fable. Do you, in your personal opinion, in any way, have any concerns that a Playground or that Xbox went out and got an Eidos Montreal, a AAA veteran development group, to help with Fable? Does that bring up questions about what Playground's got going on over there, about the development of Fable, that they had to go out, they felt the need to go outside and not just grab any old support studio? Because we know that happens all the time. Again, God of War Ragnarok had like 12, 14 teams work on it. It happens all the time, but there's specific studios who are set up, even third-party indie studios that are set up as support studios that support all the bigger studios. But they didn't go do that, man. They went and got a AAA developer with veteran teams to go do it, which is rare, if hardly ever seen, obviously, at least known about in this industry, to co-develop a Fable. Does that raise any red flags to you?
No. On the Fable situation in and of itself, I was always curious exactly how they're going to do this, because like it's, different kind of studio. Rumblings are from everybody who's seen or looked at Fable is that it's gorgeous, right? But that, it is a new genre for them, so I always kind of expected them to kind of look outside, and they've hired a lot of people from different studios, and you still see tweets today. I'm the new blah 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 on Fable, or like, and you see all these people being brought to the team. My question is, if we're to have concerns when people leave studios, why are we to still have concerns when people join or help on studios? Like, where's the sense in that? You know what I mean?
Because, Mav, it doesn't happen. Because,
we just expect the same, like, 150 people to always work and be the same at a studio forever. And only those people work on it. Nobody else. There's no contractors. There's no other studios helping. There's nothing else. It's just that team, only them, and they will always be there for now and forevermore.
No, Mav, because AAA studios who are run well, like Sony first-party studios, like Sony Santa Monica, sure, they need help to finish their game.
Oh, because it's a 94 meta. Of course, they need that. It's amazing.
They bring in support teams, though, Mav. They don't bring in AAA studios to help out. Yes.
So their support isn't as good as our support on Xbox?
Because they don't need it. Because they don't need it. Because they don't need it, Mav. Because they're so good and they're run so well. Whereas this says Xbox doesn't know what they're doing with their first party studios again, so they have to go find experts elsewhere to bring in to help out.
They gotta pay the big bucks for that help, right? Like, here's the thing. All right, I love the fact that you have veteran teams helping on a game.
Yes,
and the fact that Microsoft is willing to break whatever kind of bank they did to get that means a couple things for us as the gamer. One, maybe we won't have to wait as long as we would have otherwise for the game. Two, you're getting different level of expertise and veteran talent to help with different aspects, which could, one thing, maybe make the game better than it ever would have been in the first place. Three, it just reconfirms the commitment that Xbox has into their first party lineup, that they're even willing to do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. KhAos says this perfectly. When you have it like that, you can get Mariah Carey as your backup singer. Don't be mad because you can only afford her backup singer.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah,
KhAos. Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, obviously there's more to it than I think just like going for them as a support studios. I think like obviously this had to been a deal with Square Enix to begin with. You know what I mean? And maybe Square was shopping them out and it just became an arrangement, a temporary arrangement until they could acquire them. And then once the ABK deal was done, maybe at that point they got bought out from Embracer Group, and then Embracer Group took advantage of the situation. Who knows? We don't. There's so many different things that could have taken place here. Nobody 100% knows the situation that took place. It's all fun speculation, right?
Yes.
But ultimately, it's only positive. You know, it's like,
yes.
I don't know. All right, so let's look at this. As a situation, let's say you're building a team, like you're building a new. Let's say there's a new franchise in the NFL, right? New football team. Okay,
right.
A new football team come and you have a draft. You know, they do expansion drafts. You know, whenever they introduce a new team, which hasn't happened in a long time, but whenever they do that, they have an expansion draft, and you know, like teams put their players are willing to get rid of in the pool, right? And you know, the new expansion team can pull from that, right? So this essentially, like, Playground's not a new team, but like they're obviously stepping into a new thing, right? And you got and the initiative was a new team, and they're doing new stuff. Like if you could get the best team out there to the best players to join your team, is that a good thing or a bad thing? For me, that's a good thing. Right. I don't see the logic in a negative with this whatsoever. Unless you're trying to say that they suck so much that they have to do that, which is what I see them saying, but that's not. Look at Forza Horizon 5, right? Like, okay, so that's like one of the best games of this generation so far. I look at every Forza Horizon. Again, always cracking that 90 mark. You know, one of the most gorgeous games out there as well. But yeah, I'm glad they're getting the support that they need. I'm glad Xbox is getting it. I think there's more to it than this, though. I think there's more to it on the back. I think have access to those teams for whatever reason. You know what I mean? Because it's not. We haven't seen them as support studios like we have with, you know, Creative Assembly or, you know, Relic or these other games that kind of co-develop, you know, from Sega. But it's interesting. There's so many teams out there. Like Certain Affinity is one, right? They exist, and their main existence has been to be a support studio, a co-developer, right? To work on other people's games. There's so many of those out there. There's so many, and a lot of them don't have household names. Some of them do, right? Not household, but, you know, gaming enthusiasts, guys like us names.
Correct.
But they're talented devs, and a lot of them, like Certain Affinity, is getting their shot now to make their own games, right? Who's to say they're not as talented as Eidos Montreal or Crystal Dynamics, also, right? They obviously do amazing things, you know. But the thing is, like with them, like the proof is in the pudding. You got Guardians of the Galaxy came out, and you got, you know, Crystal Dynamics had the whole Tomb Raider trilogy, and to say you don't want those developers helping on your project would just be ridiculous, you know. So I'm glad they are.
I look at it, man, exactly how KhAos said it. Like, if you've got the resources, why, like you just said, why wouldn't you go get the best help that you possibly can? And why would anybody question that, especially for a studio like Playground, who has only built racers. We already know this. They've been upfront about it. Hey, we're trying to do a game that we've never done before. We don't have experience. They've been hiring individuals from across the entire industry to help them figure out how they are going to make this Fable game. They've been hiring individuals from everywhere. What's the difference of hiring those high-profile individuals from some of the biggest studio houses in the world and going and getting the whole team? Like, I don't understand the difference. Like, that's what studios do, especially a studio who's doing something they've never done before, and they freely admit, hey, we don't necessarily have expertise in creating a RPG. We have expertise in creating a car PG, but not an actual RPG. It's totally different. We've talked to 3-Bit about this. Again, 3-Bit has publicly said, he's been contracted. He's been working with Playground on Fable. So, again, that's no secret. But 3-Bit himself said, hey, there's a lot to learn between doing an open world racing game and a character-driven RPG. Like, those are two different things. Like, learning how to animate people versus cars is two separate things. And when you've been doing something for so long like Playground has, you're going to need that outside help to come in. But why would you want to slack on that outside help for one of the biggest IPs in your portfolio that you're trying to bring back to life after, over a decade of sitting dormant? You want to make this, again, one of the biggest IPs to come out of your house. Why would you not go get the best builders? And if that means outside builders, man, you deal this all the time with subcontractors. Like, you're not going to purposely have your crew working on a big client's house and then go hire some of the cheapest subcontractors ever and come in and help you and think that you're going to have the same type of quality that your own crew does. No. You want the same type of quality you're expecting out of your crew. So there happens to be this group out there who can produce some of the best quality in the world. You're trying to make this game the best ever. Yeah, if you got the ability to go get those people, why would you not do that? That's just stupid. Yeah. That's stupid, man. And for people to come and go, oh, this means there's something wrong. No, not at all. It just means that Microsoft is going the extra mile, like you said, Mav, taking the extra initiative to go find some of the best talent, which, again, we just got done talking about, is the hardest thing to find in this industry right now is the talent. Mm-hmm. The amount of talent that Microsoft is going to be acquiring from ABK is unbelievable when you think about this industry. But all they're doing here is going and saying, hey, Square was willing to rent these guys out. Maybe on the back end, there was an acquisition in talks with Square Enix at the time before ABK. Maybe all that was going down. And Microsoft has said, hey, if you're not going to use them, and we know you guys are unhappy with them, let us rent them. We've got a couple projects we could use them on. Let us rent them. We'll try them out, see how it goes. We kind of know the teams, but let's get them in our house and see how it goes. And then we'll complete this deal later. Maybe that was part of the process, and that's how they got the deal done with Square, to rent these teams. But why would you not go do that? And then why would you slander it, saying there's something wrong? No, it's just because Sony would never go spend that type of money on that type of talent to bring in at all. They'd rather go get 10 other support studios, smaller support studios, to work with their team. But Microsoft is saying, no, we welcome that. We welcome your insight into this process, because Playground, they're masters at the open world racing, but they're trying to do something completely different. Hey, we could use some help over here. Let's go get the best, or at least the best of what's out there right now. Let's go get that. I think it's perfect. I think it's great. And I don't think that people should be downplaying or trying to slander this like there's some kind of issue. There's no issue.
The only question, if there was anything I would consider when looking at things like this, is like streamlining a process of game development and how many studios and how many hands in it. Like, but that's in any big AAA game, that's always like a concern. So it's not
Last
really
of Us
any
had
different.
over 1,000 people on it.
It's not any different. It's like, so
yes.
I think Xbox deserves criticism over the pipeline that they've had, right? But this does not equate to that same thing, right? They're obviously doing what they can to try by doing deals like this, even to get these games done. So
And to your point, man, to your point previous about the pipeline, Microsoft is actually trying to improve the pipeline by doing this, because if they just had Playground out there trying to build up this team and didn't bring in any help, we might not see Fable until 2028. Okay, because they're starting from scratch, building a whole separate team to make this game. But the fact is, Microsoft doesn't want us to wait till 2028. So there's free agents out there who can help, and they're going to get them. And that's all they're doing right now. So I think it's awesome. I think it's awesome.
I wonder what other games do you think? Like that? I mean, there's two things that I was like, what are the other games, right? And then like, how much of Eidos, much or is it like all the whole studios committed to these different games, or is I'm just really curious on how this all works, right? So
Compulsion. I think Compulsion's getting help.
So what engine did Eidos Montreal use for like Guardians of the Galaxy? Like, what are they used to using? Right, because Forza Tech is not, obviously they're not used to using that.
No, they're not using. They weren't used to that. Wasn't Guardians Unreal?
Maybe. Chad, was Guardians of the Galaxy
Unreal?
Yeah,
I think Guardians was. Psycho's in there. KhAos ThEory. So somebody knows out there. Anybody who knows.
Because I'm trying to look at like what engine expertise do they have, right? And what could they bring to it? And is there aspects that make sense? Like Eidos Montreal, could they be helping with State of Decay as well? Yes, right?
It could be.
Because that game's supposed to be more fleshed out than we've ever seen, as well.
And we know they're getting help from Coalition, right, with Unreal Engine. That the State of Decay team is getting help there. The reason why I said, oh no, Guardians of the Galaxy was the Dawn engine.
Dawn engine. Is that like what Deus Ex uses and stuff, or?
That's a good question. That's a very good question. I don't know for sure.
KhAos ThEory said it's their own engine.
Yeah, so it is their own engine.
They're used to using a proprietary engine then. So yeah, it makes me curious. I don't understand enough about. So it makes me wonder: is it artists? Is it animators? Is it engineers? What kind of help are they getting? Is it across the board?
Right. Or is it specific?
Or is it specific? Is it narrative stuff, or like
animations?
Yeah,
just character animations.
Is it CG stuff, or like is it like mocap stuff, or who knows? Like there's some teams that do different things and all the time to get support for different aspects. So what is it exactly that they're getting support with, and is it across the board, or is it just specific things? And that would be an interesting thing, because I'm sure the Dawn engine is very different than Forza Tech.
Yes, and we know it's not always easy to learn new engines. Again, but obviously that's part of the process. So I think.
And what is the initiative using
for Perfect Dark?
Yeah.
Oh boy, I think we've got that too. I don't remember. I think
is that Unreal?
I think that's Unreal.
Shout out to Michael Garvey.
I just say Unreal for everything because you got a better.
Yeah, it's a better chance. You're going to be like 50% of the time. You're going to be right. Michael Garvey just gifted 5 memberships. So welcome.
Thank you.
Channel memberships. Speculators, appreciate that, Michael, for gifting that. Is awesome.
Yes, Unreal. Perfect Dark is
Unreal Engine 5.
Well, they said Unreal 4, but I'm sure they're switching over to 5 now, just like everybody else.
Right. So, yeah, man. So that's
why I think it's Compulsion, Mav. That's why that's my guess, is because Compulsion was a small team. They've been trying to grow. They've never done a AAA project. Supposedly their project is AAA. They, again, lack of talent, trying to do something that team's never done before. It just makes a lot of sense that they bring in a veteran group for them as well.
Could be inXile.
Yes, it could be inXile. Yeah.
I mean, the inXile is a veteran team for sure, but they're also going bigger than they've gone before as well. Maybe it's all of those.
I think there's a lot of help internally. I think there's a lot of movement back and forth internally as well, Mav, that more so than we know about, with teams helping each other now. Because I think that's a big philosophy of Microsoft, an initiative of Microsoft right now, is to make sure that they start that process that, hey, we're going to use you guys to help each other out.
Right.
And again, when they get this ABK deal through, the influx of talent is crazy, man.
Yeah.
Crazy, bro. Like, they're going to have the ability to basically do anything on any platform that they want to, which is exactly why they want this deal done. Mobile, PC, console, it doesn't matter. They're going to have so many people in expertise in each one of those. It's incredible to think about, man.
It's nuts, dude.
It is.
I can't wait to get a Master Chief skin in Call of Duty.
I know, right?
Alvin says the initiative was in an Epic stream recently talking about devs that are using UE5. I would love a link to that, actually.
Yeah. If anybody's got a link, throw it up. Let's see, Mav. It's been 2.5 hours, bro. That went by fast. Holy shit. What else you want to talk about, Mav? What else you want, man? You got anything that you wanted to cover?
No.
No.
No, I mean, dude, there's so much to talk about, but at the same time, there's like, so many games I want to play.
Right. No, hey, we're all in the same boat, brother. So we covered the major stuff this week for sure. Call of Duty breaking records. I think everybody heard that. $800 million, in the first 5 days. New record for Call of Duty. Again, if you were listening to us, we predicted this long ago that this was going to be one. We could feel the hype surrounding this game. They announced also that ranked matches will be coming for Call of Duty in 2023. Like Mav said to begin the show, they've been working nonstop to fix the little stuff that was happening. They've done an amazing job of keeping up and throwing out these patches that seem to be helping out a lot of different things that were buggy about the game, which is going to happen. So, but they've been doing a great job. So no surprise that it's breaking records. 800 million. Like, again,
it's astronomical. It's crazy. And that's only in the 3 days where the comparisons were 5, right?
Was it the reverse of that? Did I have it back? I had
that was 800 million in 3 days, and like it was 750 for Modern Warfare 3 in 5 days.
Right. Okay. Yep. So absolutely incredible numbers. Again, Infinity Ward. Well, and the entirety of Activision. Let's be real. Everybody worked on this game. Really did something special with this game, and we get this game for 2 years. So this game is going to be constantly supported. They're already starting to get the roadmaps together, which is great to see. Like I said, they already announced rank coming in 2023. They're going to have leaderboards coming up as well, which has been a big complaint. Some people claiming that this Call of Duty is missing so many features. And I'm like, you guys didn't play Battlefield, did you? You want to know about missing features? It was Battlefield, okay? This Call of Duty's got more content than we've seen out of any other Call of Duty at launch, period, hands down, game-wise. And that's what I care about, is the game-wise. They're going to work on the UI. They're going to work on that stuff as well. They confirmed that, which is it's convoluted. It's not user-friendly. Like Mav said, there's some things with the gunsmith that are not straightforward, are very confusing. They need to work on that as well. But this Call of Duty is going to break records, folks, constantly. We did finally get a release date, too, for Atomic Heart, Mav, with a brand new gameplay trailer.
February.
This game, brother, watching this trailer, look at me, folks. This is the most batshit crazy game I have seen in a very, very long time, and I'm loving every second of it. The BioShock mixed with Fallout feels is insane. But I want this game in my hands, and this is coming out now. They threw it in with the entirety of the 2023 launch schedule. February, okay? That's every game is launching in February, okay? Just like we were talking about, we're going to guess Unreal for all games. You got a 50-50 chance. If you ask when the game's coming out in 2023, if you say February, you got a 50-50 chance, okay? Right now, as it stands. So this game is coming out February 21st. But if you haven't gone and watched the new trailer for Atomic Heart, Mav, did you watch it?
Yes.
What'd you think?
It's insane. Looks crazy. I can't wait to try it. It's in Game Pass, right? So it's like
Game Pass
be something that, like, what the hell is this going to be? I'm going to stream that instantly when I'm playing it and just experience the psychedelic trip with everybody and wonder what the hell we're doing and playing. But I'm looking forward to trying it out, man. It's gonna be a fun ride, I think.
There's so much going on. I don't even know. Like, I just want to know if there's any type of semblance of cohesive story within this, or if I'm going to be lost the entire time. If
I
I'm
hope
lost
there's
the entire
not.
time, that's fine.
I hope there's not.
Yes.
I hope the whole thing
I hope
just doesn't
there's
make
not.
any damn
Yeah.
sense and it's just craziness.
Right.
You know?
I hope this is like Alice in Wonderland and we're just dropped
Yeah.
in the rabbit hole with no explanation whatsoever.
I hope it's
And
just
like-
random shit constantly thrown
Yeah.
at you that like weird dancing and like music that doesn't make any sense for the environment that you're in. All of a
Yes.
sudden, like it's blaring loud, and then crazy ninja robots come at you, and like, yeah, I hope it's insane, dude. That's the vibe I get from the trailers, and I'm feeling it. You know,
That is the complete vibe I get from the trailer as well. I don't know. There's a bunch of other little Netflix acquired a new studio. They keep moving. In the background, they're doing small things, but they're moving. Netflix is going to be a player.
Okay.
Sega wants their proposed super game to launch by March of 2026, and they're projecting that this could deliver $600 million in lifetime sales. And this, I mean, okay,
$600 million or 600 million units.
$600 million in
Okay.
lifetime sales.
That's a more safe number.
Yes.
Yeah, I think
yes.
maybe so, man. I mean, like Sega could do something big. I don't know what it is. You know, we'll see. But whatever it is, it aligns with Xbox's vision and all that stuff. It's one of the reasons they partner with Xbox, with Azure, and all that kind of stuff. So I'm really curious about it. There's hey, Pong.
Yeah.
Two other things. You know,
Go.
what about the Square Enix NFT thing? Huh? You excited?
Oh my God, they solved all their problems. Square is on the up and up,
Yeah.
folks, because they announced what the best part about this whole thing, Mav,
Was it Symbiosis, the game, or Symbiogenesis or some shit like that?
Symbiogenesis, I believe is what it is, right? Symbiogenesis or Symbiogeus or whatever the hell they called it.
Symbiogenesis.
In classics, Symbiogenesis. Is what it is. Symbiogenesis. Okay. In classic Square fashion, they threw out this name last week. I think it was. This name hit the Twitters. And if anybody knows Square Enix, Symbiosis was a part of Parasite Eve. So they got everybody excited about potentially Parasite Eve, a beloved horror franchise, and we know how hot horror is right now, right? If Square had announced the Parasite Eve game, they would have gotten a lot of love.
Mm-hmm.
They would have gotten a lot of fanfare, and there would have been a lot of people excited. That's how unaware some of these companies are, and Square is lost right now. So instead of that, they come out and they announced today, or was it yesterday? No, it was today. Yeah, it was today.
Yeah.
That Symbiogenesis is actually an NFT collectible art experience.
What does that mean?
Well, I'm going to read from VGC. Symbiogenesis is described by the company as its first digital collectible art project designed from the ground up for Web3 fans. All three of the Web3 fans. According to Square Enix, Symbiogenesis...
What is Web3?
Web3 is not a tech guy, but Web3 is like the basis for blockchain and NFTs. It's like the backbone of it. Correct me if I'm wrong, all you NFT fans out there. KhAos, I know you'll know. Psychonauts, you probably know. According to Square Enix, Symbiogenesis is set in a self-contained world where a wide cast of characters symbiosis, all of which can be collected as digital art.
Sweet!
It promises to offer an interactive story and a dedicated community. The art collected by players can be used as a character in a story that takes place in an alternate world where the player can untangle a mystery by completing missions that revolve around questions of the monopolization and distribution of resources. Bro, it can also be used as a social media profile picture.
What? Really?
And nobody can screenshot it. Square Enix says sales of the Symbiogenesis NFTs will begin in spring of 2023 alongside a free browser service. During the company's 2022 shareholders meeting report in June, Square Enix shared its plan to create story-focused NFTs.
Yeah.
Okay. So all problems solved. Square Enix is back on the money train, folks. Choo choo.
Yeah.
They are on their way to freedom. They're not going to be purchased. They're not going to be acquired. They're gonna be raking in the billions, Mav. What do you think? Symbiogenesis, are you going to be online when it goes live to get your collectible digital art characters? What do you think?
No.
No.
I still don't. You've just explained it all to me, and I still don't know what the hell it is. And I don't really care.
This is the next Final Fantasy VII, obviously, Mav.
You think so? It almost looked like Final Fantasy art, on there.
It did.
Oh,
They're definitely leaning into that. Yes.
So I'm gonna make an NFT live here, guys. We're gonna experience.
Everybody put up the bras and the weeping pongs.
Yeah, we got NFT. Wait, let me get. Why is my color not working? Hold on, we're gonna make an NFT together.
Okay.
Everybody.
Okay. So Calarie explained Web 3. Web 1 was just basic peer-to-peer connections. Web 2 is what we have now with hosting and .com connections. Web 3 is metaverse and NFTs, etc. So it's the backbone. Yes. Okay. So I was close, but thank you for the explanation, Calarie. I appreciate that.
Those were glasses, everybody.
Those are not glasses.
Yeah.
Those are tatas.
No, they were glasses.
Those are tatas.
So this is the NFT, the game, an interactive experience brought to you by Fun Speculation.
Oh, Tata NFTs would sell. Don't get me
think
wrong.
So?
But why? Yes. But why? What? What are you doing?
Is
that your mohawk? Is that you wearing glasses?
Yeah,
Yeah. How? Oh my god!
Did you see the chalk outline of the chalk drawing my daughter made of me?
Yes, I did.
It was perfect.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
Yes, it was. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Your daughter should get an NFT creation.
Yeah. You think so?
Yes.
My
needs to
hair's
be on the
not
forefront.
done, so
yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah,
that's amazing, bro.
I don't have.
How much you selling that? How many ETH are you selling that for right there?
This is Symbiogenesis 2, the game that I just premiered here live. Brought to you by Fun Speculation, guys. How much do you think this is worth? What will you pay for this to be your avatar picture and to be able to trade it in Web 3? Whatever. Oh,
Michael Garvey, thank you, brother. He goes, I can't unsee the boobs. Absolutely.
There weren't boobs. Why does everybody think there were boobs? There were glasses.
Mark, you said I thought it was a bad picture of boobies at first.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yes.
It's my personal avatar. See. Same thing.
Same thing.
Same thing.
And if you buy that NFT, folks, you can use it as a social media avatar.
There's no difference.
You could be Cartoon Mav.
Yeah.
For the rest of your life.
Yeah, I had a hat on, so I don't got any spikage right now, but I could,
Tony Grasso says, I'll give you $20.
See, these aren't boobs. These are glasses.
The way you drew them at first, they were boobs.
What, just because I started with the frames and then put the eyes?
Yes. Because you can't see your eyes through those, by the way.
Yeah.
You purposely put the nipples in.
Yeah, maybe so.
Maybe so. Kaitlin says, take my glasses off.
I think these are her glasses. Yeah, they are her glasses. I think I brought them up here for like a bit or something.
Oh, my God. $500 for a character, called it, Sappho. Yeah. Jesus. Yep. Oh, man. All right, brother. Should we get everybody out of here? Go play some games?
Yeah.
Do something.
Oh, and Forge launches in 5 days. And I think it's 5 days, right? I'm excited for that.
Winter update.
Yeah.
Winter update.
Yeah. So look out for that for Halo Infinite coming up, guys. Yeah, but let's get everybody out of here, bro.
Awesome show. Hey, chat, y'all were absolutely amazing. Thanks for tuning in to PM Live. Tony Grasso, appreciate you jumping in here, even though you were late, brother. Real life happens, man. No big deal, man. You can catch it later. Jigga J, shout out to you, brother. I see you in there. Abacab, I see all these great people. Talus Ray still hanging out with us. Sappho still hanging out with us. Spooky. Of course, Trinity, both of you, Lore Master Jasper, jump back in here again, Kaitlin, Michael Garvey, all of you. Whether you listen to us live, listen to us in future, appreciate you. PM in the PM was a great show tonight. We didn't have a whole lot to talk about, but we covered some big topics, actually. There was some pretty good news this week. So this has been episode 49. But Mav, brother, tell everybody what you got going on for the rest of the week here and the weekend.
So tomorrow is Xbox Ultimate Podcast, episode something. We're in the 110s, somewhere in there. Gonna have a blast. I want to talk about Halo Infinite tomorrow and some other stuff, as coming around the corner for Xbox Pentiment and stuff like that. So we'll have a fun show tomorrow. As well as Mondays, you can catch FSP at 10 p.m. Eastern time. So catch that show on Mondays. We didn't have this past one because of Halloween. We gave everybody the night to hang out with their family and everything. But yeah, catch more game streams and little videos or whatever we got going on here. Appreciate everybody. This chat's amazing today, dude. Absolutely engaged the whole way through. Love all of you guys. Absolutely amazing. And don't forget to hit the like button, share, and subscribe to the channel if you do like the content that we have here. Pong Soul, what you got going on, man?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Let's get out of here. It was a great show, everybody. No, I've got. I don't know if I'm gonna make Xbox Ultimate. I forgot to tell you, Mav.
Okay.
Since I got in late, I might be off tomorrow night.
Tomorrow's gonna be the best show ever of Xbox Ultimate Podcast.
Because I'm not gonna be there. That's right. But otherwise, Saturday I do have a triple header on Saturday.
Wow. Oh boy.
So, get those alarms set because Living Split Screen is going to start your Saturday off with me and my brother from another Steel Rain. You already know, 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Central Time. We always have a lot to talk about. So buckle up. 3+ hours. You know what it's going to be. Probably going to limit it to about 3.5 because after Living Split Screen, a couple hours, I'm going to hop on over to Game On Daily. That's right, with Asa, the saucy one, Gaz, and of course, Hargy Channy. So I am going to be on their show in the afternoon. Awesome to be back on that show. It's been quite a while. Actually, Mav, you've been on there a few times. I think this is my second or third time on there as well.
Nice.
But I'm going to be hanging out with the boys over there. It starts at, I think it's 3 p.m. Eastern, if I'm not mistaken. Right, Mav? 3 p.m. Eastern, I want to say.
I think so.
Yes. Something like that.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I'll be tweeting it out, of course. Again, you got to catch Gaz, you got to catch Ace,
Yeah.
and of course, Hargy is just freaking amazing. So we're going to have a fun time over there. So check me out in the afternoon. And then Saturday night will be the Shop Podcast, as always. PTK Blam's channel. PTK, of course, is going to be there hosting, along with Fuzzy Belvedere, brother from another, and myself. I don't know if we have a guest yet or not, but PTK will be tweeting that out, I'm sure. 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 o'clock Central Time. And then, of course, Tuesdays, Xbox Factor Podcast. Don't ever know if I'm going to show up there, but it doesn't matter. Boom has got it rolling 5 days a week over there. But Tuesdays, 12 p.m. Eastern, 11 o'clock Central Time. Double Barrel Gaming is the channel. Mr. Boomstick is the man. 12 p.m. Eastern, 11 o'clock Central Time every Tuesday. And then I'll be back here with my brother from another, Mav, 4 p.m. in the PM next Thursday. Don't know what we're going to be talking about, but I'm sure it's going to be fun. Thank you all for being here. Lots of good engagement in the chat. Again, you guys controlled like basically the first hour just with some of the comments and questions. So we love that. We love that. That's
Speaking of that, real quick, we do have one more super chat.
Hit it.
Alvin hit us with a $5 super chat. Appreciate you as always, Alvin. You're amazing, dude. He says, at work, couldn't find the stream, but just tagged you guys on Twitter to the Tom Warren article. Regarding regarding the what we asked for the link for. Awesome, man. Cool. Appreciate it, dude.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Awesome. Otherwise, episode 49 in the books. Next week will be episode 50. I love round numbers, Mav. That sounds so nice that we've already been doing this for 50 freaking weeks, man.
Yeah.
Crazy. But Mav, why don't you get us out of here, brother?
Yeah.
Golden age of gaming. Play what you love. Love what you play. You thought I was going to forget. I know you all did. Have a great rest of your weekend. Have a great Friday. Mav, get us the hell out of here.
Love what you play and play what you love. That's my new tagline. It's the exact same but opposite of Pong's.
I wanted a tattoo on each one of your cheeks.
Okay.
What cheeks?
Bye, everybody.